did vote yes.
The yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
Did vote yes.
The yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
Hello, humans. Bam, I woke up, eat shit. This is your power report for the 3rd of July, 2025. I'm Dan from the internet. I am back home. I am loud, proud, and here with the crowd. Good to see you all in chat. Good to see you, Forrest Miller. Not to run you by your government, my apologies, but I'm proud to have you on, sir. Good to see you. How's it hanging?
I'm coming to you from hell.
Live from hell. Live from hell.
They took away my insurance and I died. I didn't think I'd end up here.
I didn't think you'd end up there that fast, honestly. Yeah. Like it's
it happens.
That's some real do not pass go, do not collect $200 energy. It's just like straight to hell. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. Right away. Straight to jail.
Believe it or not, lose insurance. Hell. Believe it or not.
I hate it here. I hate it here.
Yeah, it's hard not to feel like completely demoralized. Especially like any time you see one of these fucking ghouls getting like interviewed about it. Like it would be one thing. I would have more respect for it if they're like, yeah, I wanted a tax cut. Fuck you guys. I got mine. You know what I mean? Like, but like the small bean, like like I either like the fake outrage where they're like, it's illegals that are gonna lose their health insurance, not hardworking Americans, which is clearly bullshit. Or the other side of that like equation is is like it's gonna be like just 35-year-olds who sit on the couch all day playing video games. Like I would have more respect for them if they were like, yeah, we want to take all of you guys off, like you guys are gonna have to pay for your fucking insurance. Fuck you. Like I would have way more respect for that than I do for like the fake outrage or like the small bean like don't bother me. I'm running through the halls of Congress kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Like we're going to get into the big bastard here. We're going to be oscillating through a couple of different phrases. But while you are watching and listening, please like, share the stream, do all those usual different things. This is going to be an interesting show, not just because I have not just because Forrest and I are going mano a mano here on some real bear energy. Cousin! No, but also because the way I wanted to produce this show and to do the show, shout out Forrest, shout out Sashi, double shout out Forrest for being the only person who follows my instructions for when I am taking a nap before the stream.
Yeah, see, I got you because I've told people to do that for me before and they never do it. So I was like, I have the chance to bring that karma back into the universe.
And hopefully that karma comes back to you because if you I'm not gonna tell people that one weird trick to making sure Dan doesn't sleep through power reports. It's all good, but let's just say that you are Bam could have done this. I would have slept through the show. Bam would have let me sleep through the show. Ray would have let me sleep through the show. C's would have let me sleep through the show. Christina would have let me sleep through the show. But Forrest, big dog with the kombucha hog in hell, is not.
They still have yerba mate in hell. I'm set.
Damn it, boy. Yeah. So I wanted to And this is honestly an excellent opportunity for me to continue to make sure my stream setup is set the fuck up. But also, like, I am even though I'm not technically, I'm extremely not there right now. I am a New York City resident. Forrest is a vicarious New York City, avant-garde, avant-tour.
Upstate resident, but I mean, I was born there. Like, I feel like that counts for something.
He's a man about town. You're doing it. And so, I know you want to talk about the Zoran Mondani sort of like race and how that came out. We're going to have opportunities to speak about this very soon later in the show, but I wanted to give you like an opportunity because we talked about it last week. And honestly, what is time? But like we talked about it on a previous Power Report. But I definitely want you to give your thoughts, your takes, like just spit it out right now. Before we jump in, but also just like, get it out. But also like we'll be talking about it again very soon, very sure. This show is going to be, in addition to being with Forrest, is also going to be very focused on the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. And so we're going to do a big breakdown. I hate that I use the word big. We're going to do a breakdown on it, but I want to give Forrest some opportunity right now to talk about
well, it's crazy because while I mean,
of course,
while you were while you were napping, or I guess in the last like couple hours, they just dropped their latest Zoran smear from the New York Times, and apparently this one is there's literally like a white supremacist like race science based account that was like, I have information on Zoran Mondani, who wants it? And apparently the New York Times reached out to this person. Like, it's literally an account that says writes about genetics, race, and something else. And their information apparently is that this is like the biggest no story of all time. I guess Zoran applied for multiple colleges, including Columbia, where his dad was working at the time, and checked off Black/African American, as well as Asian on his thing, which he's literally African. He's from Uganda. Like, he doesn't have Indian citizenship. And so their story is like one of those classic, like Elizabeth Warren said Native American, but we can't find any Native American ancestry, that kind of story.
Oh no.
Thank you, President Trump. Now I'm going to buy some mother F bleep guns. Now I'm going to buy some mother F bleep guns.
Sorry, I had it on repeat, but
it's one of those stories, but the guy's literally from Africa. So I don't know, like everyone's just kind of roasting them because they're like, yo, the guy's literally like, he's African. Like, he might not be African in like the racial sense that we use it here, but it's like, he's African in the sense of like literally he had come from Africa a few years before.
No, I was literally like, how long until we start to see the trend of people being like Zoran like, not just
Kwame,
Zoran, but like Zoran Kwame Mondani. Like, they're gonna do the Barack Hussein Obama thing.
Kwame's like a funnier one to do it with because he's literally named after like Kwame. I always forget how to fucking say it, but the former president of Ghana, the first president of Ghana that literally met with like Martin Luther King and like a bunch of other, like in the 60s, you know what I mean? Like that guy. He's literally named after the former president of Ghana as his middle name. Like, it's not like he's, it's not like he's named after like, I mean, literally with like Barack, he kind of got shafted by literally having the name Hussein as his middle name. Like,
well, yes, but like
nobody cared.
I mean, also, let's just folks. Let me be clear. Hussein is not a name that we should be like pointing out as like, oh, that's the terror name. Like,
yeah,
just a name.
Well, it's literally because
it just so happened that someone who hated America happened to have that last name of Saddam Hussein. And you know what?
But he wasn't even a terrorist. He was literally a terrorist. He was and he didn't even hate America. Saddam Hussein actually really liked America. America just didn't like him.
At the risk of never being able to fly in the United States again, who amongst us? Like, you hate America and you have a last name. Who amongst us? Like,
I mean, it's kind of
why are we against? I mean, like, I know why we're against this. It's like rampant Islamophobia, but yeah, go ahead.
It's kind of crazy that we've never had like a Muhammad, because Muhammad's like the most common name in the entire world. Like, there's more Muhammads than any other name, and it's kind of crazy we've never had like a really like a famous Muhammad try to run for office in the U.S. Like one day there's gonna be a president Muhammad. It's just by like name versus like how common a name is. We've had so many Johns, John Tyler, John Kennedy, John, John. Like, we've had so many of them, and we've never had a Muhammad. But we're in the age of Muhammad right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see that. I want to see how we're going to be doing this. But yeah, I don't know. So like I said, I set out to produce this show being like, okay, this week, because Trump's big black cock is passing. Hi YouTube censors. Because Trump's bill is passing, I wanted to actually
BBC, we call it the BBC, folks.
I think my most watched appearance on TYT was a time where I was on the panel and we were talking about Ben Shapiro being I'm gonna watch my phrasing here for now, but we were talking about Ben Shapiro on BBC because he was being interviewed by like Andrew Neil or someone.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
like,
that was right after I started working for Michael Brooks. I remember that happened. That was that same year.
Yeah, and so there
were some great headlines like Ben Shapiro destroyed by BBC. Ben Shapiro walks off set after reckless BBC appearance. Like,
yeah, no, we covered that absolutely. That was like my most popular video on TYT, and it's actually very interesting watching this right now. But
BBC destroys Ben Shapiro.
Francesca and I were on TYT. Actually, we were on the panel. I'm not sure if this is a Friday. But we were talking about the Ben Shapiro story. And we were, I'm sorry, I was just trying to find it here. But we were talking about that exact Andrew Neil moment.
Yeah.
And I have it right here. Sorry, I was just trying to
pull it up. It's hilarious. He did not know who Andrew Neil was. Like, I don't know. Like, I know who Andrew Neil is, and I don't even like. It's not like I watched the BBC.
No, yeah, literally Andrew Neil. Like, you will not fix my mouth to say the phrase "I love" the BBC commentator known as Andrew Neil.
No, he's terrible.
Bam's gonna cut that. He's gonna be like, "I love the BBC," but no,
folks, I love the BBC.
But there was, like, so there was a point where we were going hard in the paint here when it came to Ben Shapiro, and that like me, Jank, Anna and Francesca were aligned. And sorry, I'm just gonna be indulgent because we're right here and because I have the clip. We're gonna play it. So this is when
good times when everyone was friends.
Doing things to make a quick buck is hilarious. And Dan, I would like you to please refer to graphic 29, which is the Ben Shapiro tweet in question. Can you read that to us?
Yeah, so Ben Shapiro is saying that, oh, no, I didn't say that about Palestinians. You're mischaracterizing my quote. Well, graphic 29 says, apologies, you're correct regarding the slur about Arabs. He was apologizing about the Arabs live in sewage tweet. Not all Arabs live in open sewage and blowing things up, just pals, Palestinians, and their allies. So no, not all Arabs. I'm not being prejudiced towards all Arabs. I'm just being prejudiced towards all Palestinians, which is totally fine and totally okay.
You're just saying that, Dan, because I'm popular and like no one's ever heard of you or like the BBC or whatever.
You literally
like
said that in the middle
like
of the interview.
I've heard of the ABCs. What about the BBCs? That's gross.
I'm popular and no one has ever heard of you.
Can I say one sentence just for posterity? Ben Shapiro got cucked by the BBC.
Okay, so look, I'd seen the open sewage line. And I couldn't believe he said that, but I don't know why I couldn't believe it. He said a lot of terrible things, but I had not seen the other things that Andrew Neil quoted, and so I went back and looked it up. It's true. He wrote, Ben Shapiro did, the Palestinian Arab population is rotten to the core. So it was not, and he said the problem runs deeper than a few figureheads. So he wasn't.
This stinky apple bottom, right to the core, like Charlie XCX vibes. Sorry, I'm gonna let this play because I think Jenk commenting on Ben Shapiro and this clip in like year of our Lord 2019 versus right now, I think is interesting. But let's run it really fast, and then Forrest, your thoughts after this.
Talking about their leaders, he was talking about all Palestinian Arabs. He went on to say they are as responsible for their government's longstanding evil as the Germans were for the Nazis. Now, if I had said, or anybody had said, Netanyahu brazenly kills civilians during the wars that they have, and the entire international community agrees with that, and those are war crimes. So since Israel voted for Netanyahu, I guess they are just as responsible for murdering civilians and are like the Nazis. I'm pretty sure Ben Shapiro's head would explode and would say, how dare you? How dare you insult Jews?
Yeah, Jenk's gonna go into like a 30-minute like tirade, and again on the Israel-Palestine stuff, he tends to be better. But yeah, that was a point where I was like,
that's the voice that he only uses for criticism from the left now. And it's only towards himself. Where he goes, how dare you?
How dare the left even bother to think of the idea that right-wingers would not be that right-wingers would not be honest about their opinions when they're anti-war.
He had his like Zoran tweet today where he was like, wait, I'll pull it up, but it like irked me a little bit. Even his better tweets where he's like,
drop it in the private chat, and then Forrest like drop it in the private chat, and then I'll bring it up on screen for sure. But anyways, you were describing the tweet, and yeah, Jenk was saying,
yeah, hold on, private chat. Yeah, he's like, congrats to Zoran Mandami. He's united the neolibs and neocons against him. The establishment is losing its mind over his candidacy. I'm unsure about some of his policies, but I love that he represents change, and that's freaking out the elites. Which is like,
what?
But it's like,
sorry, Jenk, what?
I hate the backhanded like I'm unsure.
I'm unsure about some of his policies. Which
have the guy on?
Brother?
Invite the guy on.
Go ahead, man.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you're unsure about his policies, invite the guy on to talk about them. But there's still an election to win, and it's like you could already see they're gonna be like, even Cenk Uygur is unsure of Zoran's policy. Like you can already see that fucking forming from his comment. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
no. Yeah, I totally see the same thing, and it's like I want to be clear in that, like, I want there to be space on the left for people to have disagreement. Like that's for not reasons that help Power Report. That is Power Report, right? Like it would be a much more successful show if I were the type of person to be like, I agree with most people on the left, right? Like, but giving Cenk that benefit of the doubt when he says, let me put on my spectacles real quick just to make sure I understand this bullshit. When he says, I'm unsure about some of his policies, what, brother? What, brother? Like, because I don't think, like, the whole globalize the intifada thing, I hate because nigga never said that.
Yeah.
Like Zoran, literally, like, it was like, hey, Forrest Miller, what's your take on the Jewish question? And then it's like, Forrest Miller responds to the Jewish question in a way I don't like. Like, you can very easily create that news headline in a way where, like, let's level set here. Like, Zohran Mandani never said globalize the Intifada.
It's
Also-
it's when did you stop beating your wife? Like you know,
Right.
literally the question.
Yeah.
When did you stop beating your
How
wife?
many times did you beat your wife? Is
Yeah,
the question.
and the only thing the person can respond with is like well, I never, I never beat. And then they're like, oh, well, that makes it sound like at some point maybe you did beat your wife. You know what I mean? Like it's that same thing, and it's that
Like
guy.
how many times you beat your wife? It's like the answer is 0. Okay, so you beat your wife, and it's like no. This question
So
of self about beating your wife
you
is
did it,
wild.
you did it open-handed then. That's an O. That's not a 0. That's a
Yeah.
But
So you
the
didn't
guy
beat
is
your wife.
also
You just
the guy
slapped
that-
your wife. It's the follow up.
Yeah, but the guy that did that too was also the Jeb Bush's former communications director. The guy at the Bulwark is Jeb Bush's was the guy that was running Jeb Bush's communications during his entire 2016 presidential run, where he said, "Please clap" and all that stuff. Like that guy was the guy that fucking threw that into the conversation too. And he that's just to rat fuck Zoran.
Not surprising at all, honestly.
Yeah, Tim Miller. Tim Miller is the name of the guy. Rachel Atwood said in the chat. Yeah, it's that guy. Tim Miller is Jeb Bush's former communications person in 2016.
No relation to Stephen Miller, I assume.
No, I don't think so. But he just seems that he ran that campaign that won every state.
Infinite Jeb. Listen, I would take Jeb Bush as president at this point rather than the alternative. So, don't.
I mean, yeah, but
Yeah, no. I have other options, but if my options are Donald Trump or Jeb Bush,
you should have clapped. You should have clapped.
You should have clapped for them pit stains over here. Clap for them pit stains in the back, right?
Clap
there.
for that big beautiful bill.
Yeah. I hate it here. I hate what's going on.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to speak too much about the whole like big beautiful bill stuff.
Wait, just as a reminder of how this week started, right? Like the week started, everybody was talking about how we were pretty much at war with Iran. And now it's the end of the week, and we're all talking about how Medicaid is getting cut. Like just as like a reminder of the spectrum that we're dealing with right now, right? Like last week at this time, everyone was talking about how we're probably at war with Iran now because we joined in the fucking Israeli strikes on Iran. And now it's like the end of the week, and it's like, oh, and also, like 11 million people are going to lose Medicaid coverage at least in the next, few years. Like that's the spectrum of things we're dealing with.
Yeah, I will get to this in a moment. I'll honestly get to this in a moment, but this is, I want people to like, I don't mean to say casuals as in people who are like passively viewing the show, but people need to understand how drastic this bill is. In the sense of like, in a different world, I went to college to study political economy and media and to like understand how politics works from this perspective. And in a different world, I'd be able to like, explain the intricacies of a budget bill. But in reality, I am telling you that like, listen, I learned about the Reagan era. I learned about the Reagan era bills. I defined the exact bill, but like, again, like Reagan was president. He had his Republican Congress. You had Paul Volcker, who was the Fed chair at the time, who was doing everything that Ronald Reagan said, which was like what Donald Trump wants, but doesn't currently have. Necessarily, yeah. But like,
which is crazy. Volcker was a holdover from the Carter years. Like Volcker was not Reagan's appointee. Volcker was Carter's appointee.
Yeah, and like I'll let you cook right now, but like I just want to say like in economics, if you like study economics in college, as I did, you learn about Paul Volcker in the context of the Volcker shocks, right? Like, it's not just like you learn about the man. It's like, oh, you learn about Fed chairs. It's like, no. This man cooked, and this man cooked and burnt the stove, right? So the Volcker shocks were like a response to stagflation that you got in the previous years. And I don't want to say like I want to get back into that really quickly, but like, Paul Volcker during the previous years of Reagan and during the years of Reagan that he was at a Fed chair during, he instituted what was now called as the Volcker shocks. And these were these Fed movements that, jolted the economy in a way that seemed kind of weird in a long way. I'll get to that in a moment, like about like how interest rates worked. But this comes in the context of Donald Trump trying to replace the current not FCC, but the current chair.
Powell, right?
Jerome Powell. That's exactly right. Jerome Powell. This comes in the context of Trump trying to do replace Jerome Powell and reduce him as the Federal Reserve chair. And like there's different questions about like in defense of the Fed and offense of the Fed. Like, like there's a lot of different ways to come about this. But
I mean, there's a certain amount of
sorry, really fast. Like really fast. I'm gonna let you super cook here in a second.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that like
I'm cooking right now.
Jerome Powell and the Fed's ultimate decisions drive housing prices because they drive mortgage interest rates. They drive interest rates in general. And the way that Donald Trump is like harassing Jerome Powell is like not conducive to a lot of things, and we'll get to that in a moment, but I'm happy to let Forrest cook on this.
No, I mean, I just wanted to say, well, number one, like there's a certain amount of conservative weirdos that are like definitely in the Donald Trump category that don't even think the Federal Reserve should exist, period. So any moves that Trump has to try to undermine the Federal Reserve in any capacity, there's a certain libertarian side to people that don't even think that there should be a Federal Reserve to start with, right? Like they think that that's like a dark conspiracy or something. But yeah, I mean, we're in kind of one of these weird moments, the same as like 1980, because there's been a long time where it's been the interest rates have been low, and that's why like there's been so much growth in like the venture capitalist sector and like so much growth in apps and like technology, right? Because low interest rates means a lot of startup capital, and because of what happened during COVID and because of like inflation going up, they started raising interest rates during Biden's administration by a lot, and it's kind of destroyed this this venture capital / like technology sector in ways that you can understand why they started putting hella money behind Trump for the 2024 election, because otherwise that sector would have crashed out, I think, because of the interest rates, because raising interest rates on them means no more startup capital flowing into all of these companies. So you can see why like Peter Thiel, Elon, like they all desperately jump behind Trump. I mean, crypto companies, Mark Andreessen, like all of those people, because they wanted to see a sea change in economics. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any room for them to keep doing the shitty things they're doing. But the first person, I mean, one of the people to replace, of course, is Jerome Powell, because he's the one that's been raising interest rates this entire time.
Yeah, like Jerome Powell is now sitting in this way like against Trump, but he's not against Trump. Like ultimately Trump is, and Forrest was getting to this like kind of really well, but I want to like flesh it out, is that Trump is neoliberalism, right? Like he represents domestic neoliberalism in such a way that whatever the domestic facing neoliberals want, which is corporate control over, capital as it exists in the United States. Donald Trump represents that, and there's nothing that Andreessen Horowitz or the Peter Thiels or the Elon Musks or the even Jeff Bezos of the world want besides that. Like, that is their thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's how much power do you really have as a, as a sector, I guess, right? Because for the longest time, I mean, Democrats were the ones that were giving the tech sector most of what they wanted. Like, lest we forget, Elon Musk, in multiple occasions, went bankrupt, and Barack Obama was like, came in clutch with number one, like bailouts for Elon Musk companies specifically, but also the carbon credit regime, which meant that Elon Musk could sell carbon credits to other companies, which is actually how Tesla made money. But Biden was more skeptical of Elon Musk as an individual, and I think that's part of what drove him into Trump's big arms or whatever. Which it's funny to see, the Trump and Elon break up now.
Beautiful arms.
Big beautiful arms. But all of these people in both the space that is like crypto, but also the space that is venture capital, like that money is all going to Trump now, because Trump is going to give them anything they want. I mean, he put Mark Andreessen in charge of his AI. He's like his crypto and AI czar. Like, that's insane when you know who that guy is, right? Like the Andreessen Horowitz guy. Like, that's insane to put him in charge of his own, his own sector, pretty much, in the Trump administration. And I don't know. It's a desperate time to be alive. I feel like the neoliberal part of this, I mean, it is neoliberalism, but it's different parts of the parties represent different parts of the neoliberal order, I think. And what Trump represents is like a pretty dark part of this.
Yeah. I heard everything that was said during the phone restarted, which is totally fine.
It's always so jarring when all of a sudden it's just like me on screen, you know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, vamp, keep it going.
No, I super feel that. I super understand that. I'm sorry for the run, but like, yeah, I feel like we're in this space and we're in this place where we are trying to assert that, speaking on Zohran Mandani, like, as we're already 45 minutes into the show, but speaking on his place in the race, is that the Democrats are fighting so hard against him, and they don't realize that he is their like better bet for the country.
Yeah.
And like, this is all happening under that context. It's like, if Democrats were smart, and I haven't heard this on a lot of shows, but like, if Democrats were smart, they would push Zoran as like their attack dog, right? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see formations of that kind of popping up, where it's like, there's been some people within the space of like, especially like the abundant space, that have realized that Zoran, especially because of kind of the people that have been around him this run, is a lot more amenable to like the abundance ideas, like very explicitly, like like zoning, changing the zoning laws, and building more housing, obviously, and ending a lot of like the regulatory bottlenecks, as they call them. Like, he's much more amenable to that than Andrew Cuomo would have been, let's say.
Well, we just had also just some mentioning California, especially, which a lot of y'all East Coast heads love to forget, but California, in the words of our previous governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. But California just passed a bill that eliminates a lot of these sort of like, like it is the abundance bill. Like, I was reading through this and I was like, oh, every legislator who like put forth this bill read and watch and listen to all of the Derek Thompson, Ezra Klein sort of abundance things, for sure. Like, they saw this and like they ran through it and they took this as their policy. But like, I'm hitting the and what because I've been to New York. I've lived in Los Angeles. And I'm like, okay. The reason why a lot of people were like so like 10 toes down, walk out looking like the broccoli, like the way we were like very like 10 toes down on the abundance agenda was because that we looked at it and we were like, okay, we already have a bunch of buildings that are being built that are like built for, you know, rich people. But that's the problem, is that if we're going to solve a housing crisis, if we are going to solve a housing crisis, we can't do it by only addressing the housing shortage among rich people. And like that rich people is mostly what not only what reality is doing, but the abundance agenda and the reality that it wants to keep pushing. That reality is a let's keep building more luxury housing. It's not necessarily a let's keep building more affordable housing. And like super last thing. I've been to New York. I've seen them build super housing. Like I've seen them build properties that like are really big and they're really fast and they do it really well compared to Los Angeles and I'm sure a lot of other different places. And they, yeah, like I said, they build luxury housing, but that's, again, luxury is different from affordable. And also, if you're building new housing, like, and a certain percentage of it is supposed to be affordable, we should be having that spread out as like, okay, even though this is new, this is going to be affordable housing. And, you know, and you know, we're going to allocate it a little bit of a different way. Like, I don't know. I don't care, honestly, but like, this is obvious the way we're seeing things here.
And there's so much of a just assumption that like the way that market economics work is really the way that market economics work, like an almost religious faith in the market, that if you suddenly build a lot more housing, that the market will drive down the price of housing and it will become more affordable. And like that, like maybe that's true, but if landlords and like, you know, homeowners collude together to be like, oh, we're only selling it for this much, like I don't have a lot of faith that just the market solves something like that, you know, like and keeps it at an affordable rate. And like that's kind of always been my thing with like the NIMBY or the YIMBY kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, it matters what kind of housing you build. Like just building housing, I'm for market rate housing, but like you also have to have affordable housing, and you also have to have more public housing. I mean, you know, if people aren't going to be priced out of New York City, especially, like everything is so like everything jumped up in just the matter of between the pandemic and now, from about, you know, like a lot of housing could be like, you know, rented at least in New York City for like $3,000 or something, and now like those same fucking, you know, units are going for like $5,000 a month, like bigger ones, right? Like not necessarily just a studio apartment, but like still it's a crazy amount. And it's even crazier because up here everybody kind of fled from the city during COVID up here, and you would suddenly hear about like all these like New York Times journalists and like writers and all this stuff. They're like, we found a nice home in the Hudson Valley, and I was like, don't come here, stay down there. They're the worst of you. Stay down there. Like they'd like blow up swimming spots in like the New York Times and be like, we found a nice little hiking trail in upstate New York, and it's like somewhere near where I go hiking, and I'm like, this is gonna suck. Like you guys are gonna draw too many people to this spot. But it's like, you know, people move up, like now people move upstate a lot, as well as just leaving, you know, New York. But a lot of people move upstate because it's cheaper up here, but it won't be for long if everybody, because it's not the working class New Yorkers that move upstate. It's like, you know, like journalists that are making, or like you know, white collar workers that are making like 6 figures and realize they can work from anywhere, which I support. I think you should be able to work from anywhere, but it's like those are the people that are going to come up here and drive up prices.
Yeah, like I am not opposed to the idea of like, you know, you meet your person in the New York City area and then you start to move upstate or on Long Island to like, you know, settle a family. Like I think that's fairly reasonable considering just like, and again, I'm not one of those liberals who's like, oh, New York is so dangerous. But I'm just saying, like, any city is a faster pace of life, and you may want to grow up kids, or you may want to raise your kids in a slower pace of life. And so I totally get it.
I mean, that's what my family did. I lived in the city until I was like, 6, and then moved upstate because my dad was from here, and he was like, well, time to move upstate. So and then 9/11 happened like a year after that. And it was like, oh, I'm glad we moved upstate.
Yeah, like it literally happens in that direction. But the way that we think about all of these things is based on how we live and how we move. But also, like, we're starting to see this I guess, like, range where no matter where we live within the tri-state area of New York or Washington, D.C. or Los Angeles, we are going to be affected by this bill. And so the Senate passed their version of the
Oh wait, one more thing before we
of the
before
bill.
we
Yeah.
together.
Go on that thing, and then
When you were saying Newsom passed that YIMBY bill and shouted out the abundance guys, right? Something I noticed, when because I haven't watched a lot of the Ezra Klein, Derek Thompson interviews, but I watched the one that Ezra Klein did with Sam Cedar, and he talked a lot about high-speed rail and how he had met with Newsom and tried to push high-speed rail, and he was very frustrated that Newsom was the one that was like, anytime it got politically unpopular, because obviously that guy wants to be president so bad, he reeks of desperation and probably hair gel too, but but so
not the Gavin Newsom.
So
that hair gel Gavin Newsom. Anyways.
Slimy Gavin. But so he shouted out literally the abundance guys and the YIMBY movement because he's trying to get in their good graces again because the high-speed rail thing was such a debacle. Which also makes me wonder, I don't know how many podcasts Ezra Klein went on and mentioned that specifically. He was talking bad shit about Gavin Newsom, but made me wonder if Gavin Newsom was watching Majority Report and overheard Ezra Klein talking shit about him.
Let's get really fucking granular here. Yeah, I've talked with folks on the left of being like, yeah, I understand Ezra Klein. Not understand him and not agree with him, but I get the vision. I see the vision of what we're doing. And yeah, that abundance side of things is just really, it's not me in the moment. We've talked about it, but
the problem with the whole abundance thing is the language that they use around it. Ezra Klein originally, when he was kind of taking that idea, right, and bouncing it around, the idea, the phrasing he used was supply side progressivism, literally cribbing the Reagan phrasing, and talking about deregulation, which is the bottlenecks thing, and supply side progressivism, and it's taking the language of neoliberal Reaganomics and boosting it even more into the Democratic agenda, which is, I think, not what we need. It's the opposite of what we need. But it's it's almost jarring to hear the classic Reagan phrases being thrown back into we need to be more like Reagan. And it's crazy to see that in terms of Trump's not against that that form of conservatism either, his economic policies, you know what I mean? To some level he is, or his policies are, right, the tariffs and stuff like that. But it's I don't know, I'd like to see the Democrats do something radically different than the Republicans do. I'm kind of tired of watching the fucking dog chasing his tail.
No, you're absolutely right. And part of the reason you're not seeing Democrats pose a different version of this is because we're not seeing the tail wag the dog, but we're seeing the belt hit the ass, in the sense of this is actually how politics works. And it's a politics of, okay, left wing, right wing, same bird, we're still gonna treat this the same bird. And I want to point this in the nerdiest way possible to Ronald Reagan's Economic Recovery and Tax Act of 1981. I'm not going to go into this whole Wikipedia article that's here because like I'm already boring a half of the audience. Like literally half the people just stopped watching the show because I pulled up a Wikipedia article. But like I just want to say that like there's a big, you know, meme, and like, you know, I think it's valid, of people looking at the Reagan administration and they're like, in a similar like Drake and Josh way, like not
Yeah, the Reagan.
Reagan. It's Reagan. Yeah, like, and I think we can do that, but let's just be clear, like, before I realized how politics worked, actually, I was a big fan of the World Inequality Report. And you know, it was a thing put together by Thomas Piketty and a number of other different folks who were like, okay, we understand that inequality is a problem across the world. We watch it in different ways, in different spaces. We're going to, you know, keep track of it. And I've been doing this thing, like real Dan from the internet old heads know that I've been tracking this thing for a long time. And the United States saw, after, I'll try to find the graph. I can't find it right now, but basically the idea was that after 1980, which is around the time when Reagan's economic policies started to, like, you know, get implemented, he was elected, it started to take effect. After 1980, especially like within the 1980s, you start to see a shift between wealth going to the top 10% and wealth being extracted from the bottom, let's say 90%, let's say 80%, to be like, you know, judicious, but you know, 90%, right? And this entire experience is like, you know, it's called the Reagan effect. It's called, like, you know, trickle down economics. There's a lot of different phrases for this, but it is a coined term within teaching people how economics works. And what I'm trying to tell people is that we have just invented new economics because what Trump is doing is so bad that now we're going to say, okay, there was this spike during Reagan in inequality, and now there's that spike during Trump of new inequality. And so like we're literally at that point.
Well, it's the largest upward transfer of wealth in American history. What we just saw today passing. Literally, it's the largest. Like, so anything in the 80s, right, where the entire point of kind of Reagan's program was transferring wealth upwards, and then believing that, like, you know, they did like this almost dystopian shit where they took the language of like JFK and LBJ, because JFK, like towards the end of his life, had done tax cuts, but he had cut taxes a little bit, but like nothing like what Reagan was trying to do. And he'd also you know, boosted the social safety net at the same time, and it helped the economy, like it unleashed something in the economy, but it was still within like the Keynesian model of, you know, of how that works, which Reagan's thing was not, right? Like Reagan's thing is it's neoliberalism. It's his own form of economics. And so anything past there, though, we just witnessed today the largest upward transfer of wealth in American history, more than anything there, more than anything in 2010, you know, or 2009, when the fucking everybody got bailed out and like the, you know, the economy crashed. Like we've seen something deep and dark happen today that we're gonna be grappling with for a long time because of the level of inequality we're going to see.
Yeah, like and again, I'm not trying to apologize for my behavior, but part of my extreme crash out on election day, if folks remember, and Forrest definitely does, in 2024, what happened on election day was realizing that not my parents, rather, because them fuckers gonna die. What, it doesn't matter. But like realizing that my niece and nephew and myself and Forrest, if we choose to live in this country, and Christina and everyone else who was on that stream are going to be living through this chart.
Yeah.
And this chart is not a great chart. And so what you see in red is pre-tax income from the bottom 50%. And what you see in blue is pre-tax income from the top 1%. And I want to point out that like this chart is showing the Great Depression, like, you know, even before then, like it's showing 1913, because I'm being extremely generous. But you know, 1945 is like, you know, World War II, and we extend to like, you know, understand this. And you know, we understand, like, you know, this is a war. If rich can give more, they can. If the poor can't give as much, we do that. We run that. That's totally fine. But again, red bottom 50, blue top 1. You
Yeah.
had an experience through like 1980, 1981 where you saw income, as in like how much people were making, shift a little bit in 1940 for sure because of the war, but again in 1980 where you start to see the red where the bottom 50% starts to shift down, and the blue where the top 50% starts to shift up. And then income is just like what you're making in a year. Wealth is how much you have, period, endocents. And you watch after 1981, you start to see the wealth of the blue, which is the middle 40%, start to go down. And then you start to see the wealth of the top 1%, which is a wild comparison, continue to go up. And, you know, this is a fever pitch where you see the red, like, you know, it starts to converge around the 2000s, and then this bubble starts to converge where you start to see the top 1% have so much of a share of American wealth that it, you know, trounces the bottom 40%, at least in this wealth inequality report. And yeah.
And there's like, I don't know, it gets really bleak. David Sirota did a really good podcast series pretty recently where on the lever, where he went through the entirety of kind of they interviewed a lot of pretty crazy people on it, but they were talking about like the history of that tax cut, and also of like the idea of like the Laffer curve, where Arthur Laffer had his famous curve that
the laughable curve.
Well, and he just made it up on the spot, but he was like, "Oh, there's got to be, see this curve that I'm just putting on this napkin. There's got to be a point between like 0 and 100% where it's the optimal.
And then you gotta hit him with the Laffer curve.
But it's the optimal amount of money according to this guy that's just making it up, right? Like he just wants his taxes reduced. He's just making the story up. He's like, oh, well, if you hit a certain point on this curve, government revenue will maximize. You're cutting taxes, but government revenue will maximize, but also the private sector will be unleashed. And this is totally a real thing. And the people that he handed that piece of paper to is Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld. And they were the ones that took the Laffer curve to, I think, first Gerald Ford, and then you know, because it was around that time. And then by the time Reagan got around, they had kind of created like a real supply side economics thing that he brought out in front of everybody. But it's like, you know, even somebody as spooky as George H.W. Bush, right? Like the whole voodoo economics thing. He was like, this is not a real thing. Like you can't do this. And then he was like, hey, don't you want to be vice president? And he's like, yes, I totally do. You totally do this. But like, you know, even during that 1980 election, it was George H.W. Bush that was going like, you can't. This is not economics that works. Like this is just gonna be a massive tax cut, and it's. I mean, you can just buy that guy off though. He has enough money.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Radiohead before they became Zionists, and they had a song called "Electioneering," which like went through this whole thing in song form about voodoo economics, and like, you know, the bridge refrain is just like the phrase in the bridge is just so I can rely on your vote. And so it's literally just like, listen, whatever the fuck I can say in this moment, just so I can rely on your vote, is what they're trying to get at in that understanding. And yeah, like the point, we've gone way too. If you've rocked with us this far, thank you very much. But the point is that the tax bill that we are currently seeing is a similar, and let me pull up the chart again. It's a similar sort of like redistribution of wealth.
It's similar, but it's going to be, if you look at that chart, right, and there's the different bumps, it's going to be the worst bump that we've ever seen on a chart like this, just because it's the largest redistribution of wealth upwards in American history. So you can look at any of those time periods where wealth is going up and up and up. This is going to be a more drastic change to the curve than anything we've experienced in that time period. Like,
and this is going to be a thing that if we continue having regular level Democrats, this is going to keep happening. You see, right? Like, it wasn't immediate. Like, the bill was passed in 1981, I want to say, and I think like if I like hold my mouse right here, like that's where it's looking. And it didn't happen right then.
It happens over time. Yeah, I mean, it's each year. Each year gets worse because you've cut taxes. It's the amount of revenue that the government's taking in.
And it was happening already to show some of like the political sort of like, feelings of the time. But thanks to that bill, you started to see the convergence and like divergence of rich people getting richer and poor people getting poorer. Okay, so like what I am trying to say with Forrest right now is that like we are literally headed for this on crack. We're headed for this on meth, dude. Like I accidentally took meth, and let me tell you,
I did that too. I actually did that too.
I felt like this would be the right stream to bring this on, brother. But like Forrest,
I took what I thought was going to be Molly, but it was meth.
Same. I totally experienced. Forrest, what's your opinion on meth?
I mean, it's not good. It ramps you up to a level that your whole body is not meant to be.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
My opinion on meth is one more time. No, I'm just kidding. My opinion on meth is literally my body was asleep, but my brain was awake, and I didn't want that.
Yeah.
Like it was very energizing, but like not the kind of energizing you needed, nor the energizing you wanted. And so this bill is going to be meth for the economy. And some political people will be like, meth is awesome. That's exactly what we need. And people who are healthy and normal are going to be like, meth is terrible. That's exactly what you don't need. And
there's one of the things I wanted to say though, the 1981 bill, right? Kemp Roth, which was Jack Kemp, who was an ex-football player turned congressman, who was really the one that got sold into this scheme to cut taxes.
And really quickly, we're talking about the Economic Recovery Tax Act, like ERTA, of 1981. This is the thing we've been talking about Ronald Reagan passing. This was Ronald Reagan's big beautiful bill, but we're talking about how like that is a thing where like all of the charts where you point to and being like, oh, Reagan fucked all of this up for Americans. This is going to be that moment where, the quote unquote big beautiful bill, which is the last time I'm going to refer to it as such, and Forrest and I are going to henceforth thereto with Heather throughout the rest of the show refer to it in different, more pejorative ways. But we are talking about a similar reaction between the ERTA, the quote unquote Economic Recovery Tax Act of 1981, and the quote unquote big beautiful bill of 2025. These are similar interactions where like, they maybe name something, but they do an incredibly worse thing than what they're named.
So there was the Revenue Act of 1964, which was JFK And like, well, I guess
What else
JFK
happened? Like what else happened in 1964? Do you remember?
the
Like,
Vietnam
that's-
War
seems like
started. But
I mean, the
but
Vietnam
this
War
is in-
started, the civil rights, like, you know, a
Yeah.
lot of the civil rights stuff was happening around then. Weird year, interesting year, interesting.
But
Anyways,
the economy had kind of stalled out. This massive growth, like the greatest growth kind of that America really had ever seen, had kind of stalled out by this point. And JFK was dead, but it was kind of his baby that he had kind of wanted to shepherd into Congress, where they cut the
and the fact that he had died made some, like, you know, incentive to it, to, like, you know,
yeah.
he would have wanted this, is how
Well,
the
no, and
Democrats were
LBJ did
pushing
that
it, yeah.
too with pretty much everything that he wanted. He would just be like, "Can't we just do this for JFK?" And then they'd pass whatever it was. He could have fucking, I don't know, he could have passed anything. But so
The original give it for the Gipper.
they cut the federal income tax rate from 91% to 70%, which is still a high rate, right? But it was still within this Keynesian framework, where it was Walter Heller telling them that temporarily doing deficit spending was going to boost economic growth at a time when it was starting to flag for like the first time since since World War II. And then of course the corporate tax rate from 52% to 48%. And pretty much Jack Kemp, who was like this football player that had been battered around a whole bunch on TV, his head and stuff. He got the idea that pretty much doing that again, but at a different time economically, and at a time when we'd been kind of unplugged from the Keynesian framework for stuff like and we were leaving that framework, and stagflation was happening and things were in a very different place. He was like, oh, we could just do the same thing again and cut it by the same amount. So the Kemp-Roth Act pretty much did that and made it seem like JFK was doing supply side economics, which was not a thing that existed when JFK was doing it, which was not a concept that they had when JFK was doing it. And they kind of bullshitted their way through that. But that's the same exact logic that they're doing right now to say, oh, we need to do even more tax cuts. It's within the same logic. The original logic was a lie. The original logic was bullshit. It was on a flimsy house. And yet Republicans have done it every single time since. And knowing full well that it doesn't work. I mean, if they didn't back then, they know now that it doesn't unleash growth, right? Like it unleashes, they get more money and we don't, and massive levels of inequality. And like they know that by now, but they're still doing if we get to a certain amount, if we cut the corporate tax rate and we cut the income tax rate a certain amount, we'll just give you guys the money. Don't worry about it. Trickle down economics will work. Which I was kind of blown away with Biden saying. He was the first person to really acknowledge that I'd heard of as a president that was like, trickle down economics doesn't work. Just that simple phrase. Like he was the first kind of president since then that kind of acknowledged that fact when he was running. He's like, trickle down economics doesn't work, Jack. And it was like
that's
that in itself was like a big deal. Like nobody's.
It was. Yeah, it was one of those similar things to like. No, go ahead, Forrest. But like, it was one of those similar things to like. The fact that Trump was the first politician to acknowledge that the war is, the what we now call the forever wars, like, the war that started, under the pretenses of a response to the 9/11 attacks that actually started 2 years later in 2003 in Iraq and Afghanistan. Like the pretense that was
it's exactly the same. It's exactly that. Like I couldn't come up with a better example myself. That same kind of paradigm shifting. But of course now we've gone all the way in the other direction, because Biden's brain fucked up.
I'm going to go through some chats really quickly. Good for Gabby says, Big Beautiful Bill Week is a long novel spectrum of doom and distraction. Thank you for helping us navigate. Yeah, I hope we and I know we will get to some of the details of this, because there are economic, social, political, kind of geopolitical issues with this bill that we're gonna tackle on, and that's why I wanted to kind of devote the show this week to that.
Yeah. Put this here. I have a part that we definitely gotta talk about.
I want to read some more comments before that. So
yeah.
Let's run these really quickly. Rachel Atwood. Also, thank you, Good for Gabby, for the $10 super chat. Big dog. Thank you. Appreciate your work. Rachel Atwood says, remember when Kristi Noem's health department in South Dakota was put on a PSA, where a public service announcement, I'm assuming, where everyone kept saying, quote, I'm on meth, as a way to get everyone to talk about community meth problems. Like, you know, I like there was that one thing that was like, oh, if you're in an emergency, call a crackhead. Like,
Yeah.
there was that. I forget that politician, but I'm just like, in a very super lib way, I want to decriminalize the idea.
It was John Kennedy. It was the guy that the most memeable guy ever. That you know, the guy that sounds like Foghorn Leghorn. It's like they read the book. They read the book that was like big black cock. Put it in my mouth. It was like
yeah, no, I remember, and he's been doing some bangers recently too. John Kennedy as well. Yeah.
Did you hear that Kristi Noem's purse got stolen? I guess they found the two guys, but it was barely reported. In April, they stole her purse with her Department of Homeland Security access badge, passport, credit cards, blank checks, sets of keys, and $3,000 of cash and her phone. Somebody stole it out of a restaurant and just walked out with it.
Listen, why are you a sitting congressperson with blank checks in your phone?
Like, this is when she's like, this is this year. So she was Department of Homeland Security head.
The only reason, I don't even know if I should be saying this, but I'm just saying the only reason, like, as a Zoomer, as a Gen Z individual, checks are stupid. They're like a dumb form of payment. And the only reason I have them is to deal with landlords. Like, I think that's a decent way to express this, but I'm just like,
what the fuck?
The idea
that stole it was named Bustamante Levia.
Who? What?
The guy that stole her purse, his name apparently, investigators said they identified Bustamante Levia. What kind of Harry Potter spell is that?
Bustamante.
Literally, his name is Bustamante.
I know you had like a different point you want to make, and I totally careened you off of that. But I also wanted to note Parker said you did an election night stream in 2024. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know about that.
There was tequila involved.
There was tequila involved because I forgot that.
I was drinking it downstairs.
Yeah, that makes sense because like I don't do tequila, but let me just say, I
went to the liquor store in the middle of our stream. I dipped for like 30 minutes, went to the liquor store and came back, and I just somehow I had a bottle, like that was what I grabbed.
That checks out. Honestly. Also, you are not the most drunk person on the stream.
No.
I will say that for sure. Anyways, you have this. Sorry, I'm just gonna pull up this link that you sent in our private little chat here. But what is this? It's a Northrop Grumman.
No, it's Lockheed Martin. But one of the things in the bill.
Martin.
One of the things in the bill is $175 billion to.
Man, I miss my ex. Shout out whoever's out there who is my ex who is hearing this. I miss when she gave me that golden dome.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy that Trump, like the guy that they were like, oh, he loves getting pissed on. Like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that the things from 2016 where they're like, oh, they have a video somewhere of Trump getting pissed on. But Golden Dome, now they're like, oh, it's Trump's golden age. Like, don't stop doing the golden stuff. I just think you're pissed. But yeah, so this is America's getting its own Iron Dome. But because it's Trump, it's calling it the Golden Dome because apparently.
Wait, first of all, I think most Americans live their lives thinking that other than the fireworks that you can maybe hear outside of me, because it's Los Angeles and that's just the game we play. But like, I think most Americans live under the idea that we have an Iron Dome. Like, we just feel like, oh, no country can attack us, and if North Korea or Iran or whatever were to fire a missile towards us, that either one of the NATO countries or one of the Atlantic, no, I guess that would be the Pacific countries, like, you know, like how, like whatever, you know, pact we have, or, you know, the things we have in Alaska and Hawaii, like, or all of the military bases we have all over the world. Like, we'd think like, that's gonna stop the missiles before they hit Los Angeles or New York. Two places where I have properties in. So yeah, like you would think that.
I mean, we
Apparently that's
do.
not the way we do it.
We have missile interceptors.
Montana.
The thing with the Golden Dome that apparently makes it special, which this is just Trump's version of Star Wars, right? Like this isn't gonna do shit, because you look at the Iron Dome right now. Israel has the Iron Dome. Look how many fucking rockets and missiles get through the Iron Dome. Like it's not like a foolproof method of anything, but they're afraid of.
Again, if you want to give me or Forrest some Iron Dome, our DMs are open.
True. Although I feel like Golden Dome sounds better than Iron Dome to me.
Yeah, if you want to hit either of us with that Golden Dome, DMs are open.
Yo, she gave me that Golden Dome. But there's the fear now about like the hypersonic missiles, which somehow we don't have, but Iran has, or at least, you know, they haven't admitted that we have. And so apparently the thing with the Golden Dome is that it'll intercept hypersonic missiles. I mean, I don't, you know, color me skeptical that is the case. That we're gonna spend, you know, 5 times as much as is in this bill. Like they think it's gonna be more like $500 billion that they want to spend on this Golden Dome in the next. I'd pay that much for Golden Dome, though, I guess.
I don't pay for Golden Dome personally. I listen, no disrespect to anyone who does. Sex workers will work. Absolutely. But yeah, I'm
looking for that free Golden Dome. My DMs are open.
yeah. If you wanna if you're giving out free Golden Dome, my phone number is 562-5. No, I'm kidding.
So that's one of the things on in this, which is like, there's really that much shit in this fucking bill, right? Like,
yeah, like the way, like, I just want to level set here in the fact that America is not a country. We are not real. We don't apply by morals. We don't apply by values. Again, Tom Homan, who is the head of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security and all those different things, was appointed during the Obama administration. So let's just like let's cut brass tacks here. And, you know, like, could Barack, like, again, Barack Hussein Obama, mind you, was a politician.
Barack Kwame Obama.
Barack Kwame Hussein Abdullah Inshallah Obama. Like, he was like, he was president at a time during rampant Islamophobia where he was expected to play towards that, and also act like, you know, quote unquote tough on the border, because, you know, and we talked about this before, like every president since the Bush administration, when DHS really got strengthened and ICE really got, you know, founded and strengthened under the Bush administration. After every single following administration after that, they've just gotten more funding. And so, you know, even during the Barack Hussein Kwame Mamdani Obama agenda, like, I keep saying this, but everyone who is like abolish ICE during the past 4 years, stock is up. Like, you should, like, I'm sorry, yesterday's price is not today's price, but if you invested in the abolish ICE stock on Poly Market Studios website, we don't do that here, but, you know, we focus on more important things because
a news show, and that is what happened in the news.
Yeah, that's what we do here. We do a news show, and that's what happened in the news. Yeah, this vision of I am sort of losing what I'm saying, but like this vision of America is this like highly militarized state and this highly militarized country has been existent for a long time, since the Bush administration, since the Obama administration. I still like literally, if you ever Obama does like he's on the speaking tour circuit right now, but if you ever get a chance to speak to Barack Obama, your first and only question, and the only way you deserve any respect for being able to speak to Barack Obama and ask him a question, is like, why did the Obama administration appoint Tom Homan as the, like, you know, at the time he was like the chief, you know, vice deputy of ICE, whatever. He didn't have like the biggest position, but he had a pretty big position. He wasn't appointed to like, you know, a post office box collector of ICE, right? Like even
Yeah.
under, he had a pretty big position under the Obama administration. And that's the thing, is like, if you were talking about abolish ICE when liberals who were somehow to the right of even Janky Uger and Anna Kasparian at the time were like saying, hey, yo, we can't do this abolish ICE thing. That's so radical. We need immigration and customs enforcement. We need to protect our borders. Like all of the people who were popping off that good a while ago, look, I'm not even going to say crazy. I'm not even going to say the word I want to say. But like, you look stupid. You look dummy. You got caught in 4K Ultra HD because you were like, oh, let me equivocate on the, and you know what? Yeah, like Anna Kasparian, who I have previously called the C word on different portions of Power Report, is saying that like, oh, it's okay if they're just going out after the criminals. I'm fine with them, you know, wearing masks and pulling people into like Ford SUVs and Chevy SUVs and like putting them in the streets, right? Like, you know, I'm fine with that as long as they're criminals, even though they were never going for the criminals. That is the kind of ICE that folks are seeing right now. And this is the kind of ICE that, honestly, like I said, Tom Homan was an Obama appointee. He just raised the ranks after that. This is, you know, I see people who are like, and this is my last point because I'm going in tangent land, but like, I see people who are like, oh, this isn't Iowa. Oh, this isn't Texas. Oh, this isn't Southern California. Like, you know, whatever. But like, no, this is, on some like Childish Gambino, this is America, right? Like, I come from a family where Japanese internment is very real and very understanding, and like understanding where like, oh, like not even 100 years ago, like 80, 70 years ago, we were rounding up people whose and I say this because I have a grandfather who dodged Japanese internment and pretended to be Italian while he was Japanese. But like, literally, we are 80 years separated. Like, we are 1 or 2 generations separated from a country who looked at people whose eyes looked weird. And they were like, actually, you're a terrorist because your eyes look weird. And we're weird to us. And like, we are going to, like, you know, go off of that as like a ideology, right? Like, we're seeing this in Gaza right now, where you see people who are getting the absolute shit bombed out of them because of the way they look, or because, you know, they're Semitic but not our Semitic. Like, you know, we see these boundaries and these barriers all across the world, and it is fucking devastating that we are starting to see it like this. And also that we're seeing, as we're slowly getting back to the point in the big beautiful bill, we are just giving more money to our most militarized forces, both deploying the military at home, like treating America as an outside, terror issue, but also abroad. And we've often said on PowerPoint that, like, as the old saying goes, you never start a ground war in Asia. But like, now the new saying is, you never start a ground war in Bakersfield. Because,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like,
To that point, right? ICE's budget, because of the bill passing, is now bigger than most of the world's militaries. So besides 15 countries, including the U.S., which is of course by far the biggest military budget. Yeah, Yerba Mate. But like by far the biggest military budget, in the entire fucking world is, and it's gonna hit $1 trillion during Trump's time in office. But China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, UK, Japan, Australia, France, Ukraine, Germany, Poland, Turkey, South Korea, Canada, ICE. That's where ICE now stands in terms of what their budget is.
Canada, we got to get those numbers up.
We got to get it. So
those are rookie numbers.
It's also 2 above Israel, but that's because we subsidize all of Israel's military. So it's 2 above what Israel spends on its own military, which is nuts that we subsidize their military that much.
I'm trying to pull the article that you sent from Newsweek, but yeah, it checks out that the ICE budget is bigger than the budget of most of the world's millionaires, is the way that this
most of the world's militaries.
Militaries. So, that's it. There we go. Yes. Sorry.
It's an annual average of 37.5 billion, which is higher than the military expenditure of all but 15 countries. Insane thing to say out loud. Like,
yeah, like listen, I was describing this like, again, I'm not gonna this is dangerous. I'm not gonna describe how I got here, but let me just say that, like, if you're DSA in New York, you're not good, but like, you have firepower. The money is better spent on like DSA in Kansas, like DSA in like, Dakota, or DSA in like San Antonio, or in the words of Charles Barkley, where them got them big ass woman in Galveston, right? Like, spend the DSA money there. But the way that they are blowing the money on places that already have money, as far as our US military budget goes, is like kind of crazy. In comments, Rachel Atwood says the R word is put as a pejorative is back in style after I'd been sure it's been done in your years. I don't like it, having worked with students who would have been pejoratively called that word. Like, I just don't like it, because frankly, people who get locked into classes like that are smarter than most of y'all. So like, I'm not even gonna push that. But yeah, as you were saying, this is kind of a wild way we are spending our money, and we are allocating the way to spend our money. Like, I don't think Forrest, I promise. Hold me to this. I get one sentence, okay? But having just traveled across America, I have more faith in Americans than maybe like a black man in 2025 should. But I don't think Americans want the type of America that Donald Trump is creating, regardless of who they voted for. And no.
I mean, when you look at, a big problem with this bill getting passed, right? Like, a lot of people have just said they haven't heard anything about the bill, and they've done coverage of like how little this bill has really gotten covered. The actual like inside.
Wait, I'm sorry. So sorry. You said the phrase, and you can run it back and replay it if you want to. And I'm not attacking you here, but like you said the phrase, Forrest, they've done coverage on the bill. But I'm just wondering, like, if people don't know about the bill, which I understand people don't, and people have done coverage on it, like, what are they talking about?
No, so like online public, like I think I got this. I was reading this from that stupid Bulwark website, which kind of sucks. But they and like a couple other places have gone through like TV coverage, right? Because a lot of fucking older people still get their news from cable TV, and how little coverage that this bill has gotten on cable TV versus pretty much any other subject, from the war with Iran to you know, like any number of things with the New York City politics, so whatever it is, right? Like the amount of time that they've spent on talking about this bill. I mean, especially on Fox. Fox knows 100% they don't want to talk about this bill, because if they talk about this bill, I think it's when they look at how many people actually know what's in the bill, it gets 2 to 1 unpopular pretty much. Like twice as many people say that they're not interested and they don't like what's in the bill. So, you know, one person, I guess, going, I love the bill, but but like
it is actually a big, beautiful bill, if you ask me. Yeah.
So there's enough there's polling that shows that, you know, Americans don't want this. This is not a popular bill, and it's not even a popular bill within. I mean, JD Vance had to break the tie. Like that should show you how unpopular it is. Republicans have a majority in the Senate, and JD Vance still had to break the tie. You know, like, there were Republicans still trying to sit it out. Of course, a lot of them thought that it didn't go far enough, but like, still, this is not a bill that the majority of even people in the Senate or House
Can
are
I
overwhelmingly,
play? Yeah, I was gonna play Harry Enton, who apparently everyone on the left forgets that he was like one of Nate Silver's boys from 538. Harry Enton is a 538 boy. He came up under Nate Silver, and so he has a CNN job. It's helpful to like point out to him in certain times, but like, let's just show how he is reacting to this really quickly, because this will give you a sense of how unpopular the bill is.
Of it as one big. They don't think of it as one big beautiful bill. They think of it as one big bad bill. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at the big beautiful bill. Net favorable ratings. I got 5 different polls for you on the screen, and you don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that these are horrible, horrible, horrible numbers. Washington Post minus 19 points. Pew Research Center minus 20 points. Fox News minus 21 points. Quinnipiac University minus 26 points, and then KFF.
I will say that like Fox News and Quinnipiac tend to skew conservative.
yeah,
and Kaiser Family Foundation doesn't. So, you know, like you can look at KFF and be like, okay, fucking liberals.
I don't know why I always thought it was Quinnipiac and not Quinn. Like I don't know. I always pronounced it differently. I don't think I've ever heard people say it.
I pronounce it Quinnipiac. Why do you pronounce it?
Quinnipiac. I don't know.
I think it can be Ken or Quinn. Like, I think that's just like a West Coast, East Coast thing, honestly. As long as you've got the Quinnipiac version.
I watched
yeah,
Harry Enton like on CNN explaining the numbers for how many Democrats versus Republicans now support Israel, and I just need that shot into my veins forever. He was like, "You see, Israel is no longer popular with Democrats," and he had to explain that, and I was like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." He's like, if you go back to 2017, Israel very popular with Democrats. Now it's underwater. No more Democrats supporting Israel. And I was like, oh man, yeah.
This is corn. This is like the cornfields for me and Forrest.
Yeah,
it's like hearing that.
Oh, tell me how many Democrats don't support Israel.
Minus 21 points. Quinnipiac University minus 26 points, and then KFF takes the cake at minus 29 points on the net favorable rating. Holy Toledo, you just never see numbers this poor. I have been trying to look through the history books.
Holy Toledo is a wild one, but anyways, we'll continue.
Favorable rating. Holy Toledo, you just never see numbers this poor. I have been trying to look through the history books to find if there was another piece of legislation that was on the verge of passing that was as unpopular as this one. And Boris Sanchez, I cannot find one.
Yikes, that says a lot. Harry, often as folks learn more about what these bills contain, and let's be frank, lawmakers actually sell what they contain, we see them become more popular. Has that been the case here?
I'll give you a one-word answer. No, it hasn't become more popular. What are we talking about here? Well, Quinnipiac University, we mentioned that, right? Well, Quinnipiac University, the big, beautiful bill, the net favorable rating on it, we mentioned minus 26 points now. They pulled it back in early June. It was the same, minus 26 points. Simply put, the bill was unpopular in early June, and it is just as unpopular now. To quote,
well, as the Trump administration would say, well, we're not going down. Minus 26 is the greater. We're here. We out here.
There's been some crazy videos of like even just news people asking Republicans about the bill, and they're like there was the one with Mike Lawler that I saw earlier, where it's a Fox News guy asking him about it. And wait, I sent it to you, so let me try to pull it up, because there was something really funny that happened in this video.
Yeah, send it in the private chat if you possibly can.
Yeah.
Then I'll run it. But yeah, like Republicans are even having a hard time trying to sell the bill, which I think is the funniest part, because honestly, a lot of I got the link. I'm setting it up right now. Honestly, a lot of the big, beautiful bill frameworks don't go into passing until 2026, actually.
Yeah, the Medicaid one.
And it's also, this is December 2026, I want to say. So this is going to be after the midterms. So they did
it on purpose. They did it after the midterms so that the people don't feel like they got kicked off their Medicaid right before the midterms. Fucking scumbags.
I can't say the words I want to say about these people, but let's play your clip that we had here. And I think we had a version of this playing earlier, but we'll read it.
Obviously, the party came together today to pass one of the largest tax relief bills in American history, increase domestic production of energy, secure our borders, strengthen our military, and start to rein in the size and scope.
Sorry, I gotta hit you with the Sam Cedar pause it for a second.
Pause it for a second.
Because this is I saw the breakdown of this, and if you make under I'm gonna be really conservative with these numbers, but if you make under $200,000 a year, you lose money under this tax bill.
Oh yeah.
If you make over $400,000 a year, you gain thousands of dollars during this tax bill. And let me tell you, if you make double $200,000 a year, that extra $2,000 really doesn't matter to you, to be honest. You could gain it, you could lose it, like Yahtzee, right? But this is a bill that is, if anyone calls it anything else other than a direct transfer from the poor to the rich, as in you are waiting tables, you are bussing tables, you are grinding, the sheets won't spread themselves, you're running spreadsheets, whatever the fuck you are doing in your job, most of that value is now going to rich people. You are toiling. We are serfs. We are literally, shout out the serfs. We are literally serfs right now because our labor is going towards rich people. Forrest.
And when you make there's the different brackets, right? And I want to say it cuts off at 200,000 a year, like that bracket. But when you make above that, $200,000 a year, close to $400,000 a year, and then the upper brackets, right? When you make those last two brackets, you're not really making that much, getting that much money back. You're getting a little bit back. But then when you get up there, then you get massive amounts of money back. Although it's not massive amounts to them, but it would be for me. You know what I mean? But then, yeah, you actually have to pay money at the bottom of it pretty much. And then this is what this clip goes into. They did the no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security, no taxes on overtime thing, which is means tested, also capped at a pretty low amount, and then also sunsets at the end of Trump's term. Whereas the other parts of it don't sunset at the end of Trump's term; they're permanent, and that's what Mike Lawler was saying in this clip. He literally has to admit that like it ends at the end of 4 years.
Obviously, the party came together today to pass one of the largest tax relief bills in American history.
Yeah, relief.
Increase domestic
For who?
production of energy,
Relief
secure
for
our
who?
border, strengthen our military, and start
I'm
to
certainly
rein in the
relieved.
size and scope.
And sorry, like I just gotta say that. Sorry, I promise I will play the clip in full. It's a minute clip. Thank you, Forrest, for bringing it up. But I'm just like, everyone who held stock and abolish ICE, hold that stock, baby, because this bill is not a giveaway, but a jizz away to ICE. Like we are. I think to guide behind YouTube guidelines here, I'm gonna quote Donald Trump and saying like, they came so hard like they've never came before. Like this is a jizz away when it comes to ICE. We're giving ICE is going to have more money than the U.S. military. ICE is going to have more. You thought it was defund the police. You thought the Democrats were about fund the police. Again, shout out Bam here, who's not on the show, but like Bam was like, hey, I'm waiting for the people here who are like, oh, Trump is going to free Palestine. You thought we were going to defund the police? No, we're not funding the police. We're funding the worst police and we're giving them a super budget. Okay.
Yeah.
So like all of that is happening. And again, like there's a lot of people on the left who are not saying enough about it. But there's a lot of people on the right who are so-called, right-wing populists. I have to do it again. Sorry to have to do it.
We do a news show, and that is what happened in the news.
Do you think that we are going to be defunding the police or defunding ICE? If you abolish ICE stock, hold that shit. It is going to be so valuable in like tomorrow, in like yesterday.
Yeah, the other I saw this shit earlier that really, really pissed me off, but it was Josh Hawley tweeted out victory in all caps. Meanwhile, like a month ago, he was the one that was like, we can't defund, we can do work requirements on Medicaid, but we must keep Medicaid going. We can't do this to my constituents. And he wrote this op-ed in the fucking in the New York Times where he was explaining how his constituents all rely on Medicaid and they're gonna be completely screwed if they defund Medicaid. And then like of course they got to him. He's a spineless little prick. But like he tweets out victory in all caps, and it's like people are going to remember your op-ed. Like when they don't have fucking insurance, they're going to remember what your op-ed, like that you were the one that literally, like you don't even have the plausible deniability now to be like, oh, I didn't know I was going to do this because you wrote this is what defunding Medicaid would do. And not that that's going to matter in the long run, I guess. I mean, I don't know what fucking people take in or what matters, but he literally was the one that wrote it out and said, if we take this big chunk out of Medicaid, these bad things will happen. Like you put that down on paper, like.
We'll play it in a moment. I mean, we're not gonna play that moment in a moment because we'll get copyright stricken. But
also, I like how Mike Lawler looks like a Ashkenazi version of JD Vance.
I'm not touching that one. Forrest, you got to invite me on me and Bam for movie night. Bam, I've just included you, but you got to invite me for movie night extravaganza whenever we do Black Dynamite, because this is the quintessential moment. Dynamite. No, this is the quintessential moment where Black Dynamite in the movie goes, I am declaring war on anyone who, develops a bill that makes it harder for people to live in America. And then everyone in the crowd goes, but Black Dynamite, we, your friends, are developing a bill to make it harder to live in America. It's like, sorry, but you're on the bad side. Like, we are the baddies. We are actually here.
Mike Lawler is Catholic. I could have sworn he was fucking Jewish. Because I saw a video of him saying that he got anti-Semitism against him. He was like, they did anti-Semitism against me. So he wants us to us to think that they did anti-Semitism against the Catholic.
On that, I'm just gonna run the clip here. Finally.
Obviously, the party came together today to pass one of the largest tax relief bills in American history, increase domestic production of energy, secure our borders, strengthen our military, and start to rein in the size and scope of the federal government. We are $36 trillion in debt. We're projected to spend $86 trillion over the next decade. This bill starts to make significant savings across the entirety.
This bill adds to the deficit.
Yeah.
As if people cared about that. But I'm sorry, this is my last pause. I made it 26 seconds, y'all. It's a 1 minute 4 clip. I'm gonna run the rest. Or try to.
Of the federal government, so that we can actually to make significant savings across the entirety of the federal government, so that we can actually reduce spending and bring down the cost of living for Americans. This is a big win for Americans across the country. You look at the tax provisions, the doubling of the standard deduction, the enhanced child tax credit, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. You see,
those will expire in 2028, correct? Those provisions specifically
sure,
on
within the tax code, but that's normal. The tax code has always had expiration dates on many provisions.
Oh, things, we give a little, we take a little, we take most, but we give and we take most things, but that's how taxes work, baby. I'm a Republican, don't tread on me type shit, but tread on me a little bit, lick my ass while you tread on me.
He I don't know. He's I hate Mike Lawler.
I'm gonna play the last 15 seconds of this clip. I'm so sorry, but I gotta run it.
But that's normal. The tax code has always had expiration dates on many provisions. We come back and keep working towards it. But the objective here is to provide real and immediate relief to Americans all across the country.
What? I'm sorry, like, is real and immediate relief the what was it, Liberation Day? Trump's really good with the branding, but like there are people, like we've said on the show, there are people who rely on goods that are exported overseas that are reeling and going to continue to reel from this, Trump's policies, whether it comes to tariffs outside of BBB or whether it comes to what's happening right now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna get bad. It's about to get real dicey.
Yeah, what I was gonna say was god damn it. Let me make sure I have the clips here. Or at least the points. But yeah, like just to top level, this bill is going to continue to overfund ICE. So ICE is going to be continuously a overfund, what you've been seeing in Los Angeles, what they don't have the ability to completely spread out to other cities. New York City, all the boroughs, Chicago, Atlanta, I don't know what other big cities there are, but like all of them. Big beautiful bill, as I hate to even say the phrase, and I'm sorry that I did it even one time, does that. It cuts Medicaid, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Forrest, but you said some things on Twitter today that were like how Medicaid would affect you personally, and like,
I mean, I'm just like, I've been on Medicaid my whole adult life. I don't know, I think that I don't know. I'm hoping that because I'm in New York, it's like we managed to keep more people onto it, but it's like I'm really kind of nervous about this. Because it's like I've been on Medicaid my entire adult life. I've never made enough money to get off of it. Because it's like the 136% of the poverty line or whatever. Like I've always made at least slightly under that. So it's like I've had Medicaid covered by, I had insurance covered by Medicaid the whole time since I was like 18.
Right. Yeah. And so many people's healthcare coverage, like, I don't get why people are like, oh, well, you're on government healthcare. Just get a fucking job. Like, people are disabled. People have, like, literally Walmart. The only reason Walmart and Sam's Club exist as companies is because they don't have to pay their employees healthcare because they pay them so little that they're able to qualify for Medicaid, like these sort of things, right? Like, these lower, these like lower income health things, right?
Yeah.
They literally run off that. They literally work off that. Their profit margins would not be the same if they actually had to pay some of their employees' health insurance. And like Walmart, the Walton family, all of them are some of the richest people in the country, period. Some rich people in the world, because America makes rich people, unfortunately. Like, we are seeing that, and we got to understand that we like people are working themselves to the bone. Like, everyone has that story of like, oh, that Walmart greeter, the person who like sits on a stool and greets you as you're coming in, or also like checks your receipt as you're leaving, is fucking bum ass like 80 years old. And like, never do we stop and go, how is Walmart allowed to hire an 80-year-old person? Like, that's America. Like, that's America, period. And like, we have 80-year-olds in America who are allowed to, sorry, not the 80-year-olds in America are allowed to, because like, they're right, they're privileged, but like, we let 80-year-olds in America suffer under poverty and force them to choose between poverty more or being a Walmart greeter. And like, those are your options for welfare in this country. And also, like we were saying in the beginning, working for Walmart doesn't even get you the healthcare that the Walton family can afford to give people. It's mostly just like, okay, well, you work for Walmart and we're going to pay you so little that you actually qualify for the government health insurance that our lobbyists are actively advocating to cut.
Yeah. It's exactly that amount of money too. Like they whenever people work at Walmart, they're always talking like they've tried to unionize Walmart a bunch of times, and like a big part of that the story is that they literally pay their employees right under the amount that you would stop qualifying for health insurance, whatever that is in your state.
Yeah. Sachi, producer, also mentioning here, ICE is now getting a bigger defense budget than China. So like, that's a lot of what's included in the Big Beautiful Bill. Sorry to say it even twice, but like,
but I don't think it's a bigger defense budget than China. It's a bigger defense budget than most places, though. The ICE is, I think China is the second biggest defense budget in the world. So it's like, but if you go all the way down, like down just a little bit, it's a bigger budget than 15, like all but 15 countries. One of them is like the US, and then China and Russia, and but yeah, it's still crazy.
Gotcha.
When you think about how many fucking countries there are.
Yeah. There was another quote here. Sorry, there's another like post.
I mistook that at first when I was reading it too, but then I looked at it for a second and it was like, oh no, it's saying that ICE is $37.5 billion a year now. It's an insane amount.
Yeah, I want to talk more about BBB, but also I'm going to use this opportunity to run to the bathroom, but I also want to give you a chance to answer a question. Rachel in the chat says, Zoran is counting, Zoran Mandani, presumptive mayoral candidate in New York City, at time of recording in early July, Zoran is counting on the NYPD from stopping ICE from doing illegal raids in the city. I desperately hope that he has a series of contingency plans in place. And I feel this comment because I remember when what was like the least Bill de Blasio? I remember when he was mayor, and ICE literally during the George Floyd protest came after his daughter. I'm sorry, not ICE, but like the NYPD.
Yeah, came after his daughter.
Yeah. And like arrested her, and they're like, just so you know how game is played, right? Like, just so you know, right? And so yeah, like I worry about the way that the state is going to come against Mamdani in a way that I don't think a lot of leftists are paying attention to. And also I worry about it in a way that like most American leftists think that like, oh, Trump is the issue. I'm like, no, there are systemic ways to go against a Muslim mayor, like in this situation. Like, there are systemic issues. Like, so.
Well, I mean, they're talking about denaturalization. Like, they're talking about the process of denaturalizing Mamdani, which I don't think they can do, but they're trying to do it based on the fact that DSA is they're going to call it a communist group. They're going to try to say that he's a member of a communist party, which obviously he isn't, and obviously DSA isn't, but they're still going to try that because it's still on the statute books. I don't think that ICE is. I don't think that Zoran is trying to get the NYPD to stop ICE from doing raids. I think the thing is he's going to try to order the NYPD not to help ICE with raids, which is the sanctuary city thing. Because during sanctuary city, like during that time period or whatever, they didn't try to get the NYPD to stop ICE from doing raids. I don't think you can do that with the federal government, but they tried to stop the NYPD from helping ICE with raids, which, you know, it hasn't even worked necessarily in Los Angeles. Like in Los Angeles, it's supposed to be a sanctuary city, and yet ICE has still helped, or the LAPD has still helped ICE get out of the city or get out of tight spots when they've been blocked by protesters. So I don't think that. Yeah, I think it's a slight difference. Yeah, Rachel, I can't pull up comments right now, but it's another country with a completely different system, and they're two completely different people. But would it be worth Zoran to consult with Sadiq Khan? I mean, I think so. Like, I think that might help. But I mean, you know, the UK has a lot of different rules, I think, than the US does about such things. I'm horrified when I find out a lot about like what England's rules are or what England's laws are. A lot of times, like. And I mean, I always knew that they didn't have a First Amendment, but they can literally just throw you in jail for speech.
Like, yeah, like when I was listening, I wanted to say, like, first of all, what out-of-towners don't understand is that we have local jurisdictions. So like you may have a Whittier Police Department or a Long Beach Police Department or a Pasadena Police Department. And then you have the LA County Sheriffs. Oh, sorry. You have your hey big boy. We are back home, baby. So you have your like local jurisdictions, your Pasadenas, your Norwalks, your Long Beaches, your Whittiers, your whatever. So you have your local jurisdictions. Then you have LAPD. So whatever encompasses the gerrymandered, you know, joint that is Los Angeles, that's them. Then you have the LA County Sheriffs. And those are like the cops. Like,
yeah,
those are when we talk about the Google LASD gangs, the S is in that is the sheriffs. Like the LASD sheriffs are like a totally different business. And then, like, you know, as we go up the scale, there's city, local, LA County Sheriffs, and then you have California Highway Patrol, which are like, you know, the Texas Rangers, like that sort of thing, like the state police. Then you have, you know, as we go up the scale, National Guard, etc. Right? I think as Bam is secretly saying, even though he doesn't want to be on the show, is like ICE doesn't need police department help because they're just snatching people off the street and in restaurants. That's and LA sheriffs start off as deputies in the county jail where they get turned. Like, yeah, you know, like that's
the story with it was LA sheriffs, I'm pretty sure, but I was listening to a story about how protesters had blocked off in LA, protesters had blocked off the block around where they were like, where they were raiding. I think it might have been like a Home Depot in Los Angeles, or it might have been a restaurant.
Actually, I mean, I'm not gonna dox myself too much as I'm like focusing on the camera, but they were raiding Home Depots in
that's how it started out.
Yeah, they were raiding Home Depots but like not just not in the areas of Los Angeles that like podcasters and transplants are used to, but the area of Los Angeles that like me and Bam are from and raised, like South Central, like East LA County.
There was a story though with a LA city councilor. I can't remember. I was listening to it. He was on like Chapo Trap House the other day, and he was talking about how there was a situation where protesters had managed to block in ICE's cars. It was like I can't remember if it was in the parking lot of
that was Dodger Stadium, so that was downtown.
No, this wasn't at Dodgers. This was at a different. I think this was at a different place. What happened with Dodgers is ICE realized that there were enough protesters, so they just dipped after that. But there was a smaller situation where I think it was at a restaurant. They had pulled people into the car, and protesters had found that ICE was there, surrounded the cars, blocked them in, and they couldn't do anything about it. And they actually called in the LA sheriffs and said, "Hey, can you get us out of here?" And they're not supposed to do this because they had like the sanctuary city order. They're not supposed to help out, but they actually helped ICE get out of the situation.
That's funny. Yeah, I fortunately or not have not been that plugged into all of the happenings in Los Angeles as I've been in my own personal New York experience. But I'm trying to like get high level here, but like as we talk about this bill, it's just funding more of this shit, right? Like the Trump goal is like, okay, Los Angeles is the case study. We're going to now push this to San Francisco, which is a flashy California town, but honestly, you're gonna get the same situation where you don't have a lot of migrants in there. What they're gonna do is then go to San Bernardino. They're going to go to San Isidro. They're going to go to Bakersfield. They're going to go to a number of these different places within California, but also they're going to go to Chicago. They're going to go to New York City, unfortunately. I think they're going to go to anywhere where you have a bunch of migrants, and they are going to start to, exercise ICE in these ways. And, not every single city that they're running is going to be like Los Angeles. They're suing, the California state government is suing, the United States government is suing California for being a so-called sanctuary state and not cooperating. They're cooperating for sure, but not cooperating as heavily as they could be with ICE and everything they're doing. And so even that lack of slight cooperation is getting them in trouble and under fire. Rachel Atwood says San Isidro is the border crossing town, right? Yeah. San Isidro is in Southern California. It's a town that's like right next to San Diego. It's like southeast of San Diego. And San Diego is considered to be a border town. It's not. San Isidro is the border town. You can take a, that young MTS train, that MTS light rail, down from downtown San Diego all the way to San Isidro, and it's literally the last station is like the border crossing, where you get off that train, you walk across, you run your little passport card or whatever, and then you are in Tijuana, right? So like that is how that works. Yeah, like literally, Rachel, you are basically describing what I just said. But yeah, the bill increases funding for that. The bill makes Medicaid and medical services worse, which a lot of Republican states, again, like me as a Californian, Forrest as a New Yorker, as in like New York State, and me as a Californian and also a New Yorker, maybe even double, we are paying for red states to have their health insurance, to have their Medicaid. Freudian slip. New York and California and the blue states tend to pay more into the government than, not only do they pay more into the government than they take back, but also they pay more into the government than red states do. And so you will get this continued issue where it's not sustainable for them to continue to like pull money out of the country and out of the government and for them to get it out. I'm going to read some other comments here because we've been going for a minute. Actually, shout out to everyone in the chat. Good for Gabby, Selena, Bobby, Bad Lefty, of course, Moonwalker, Monope, Emega. Yeah, thank you all for joining in here. But there's going to be, and I showed the chart earlier, but like there's going to be economic responses, there's going to be social responses. Unfortunately, Democrats are responding in the worst way possible. And they have their own thing. I'm sure Forrest is going to love this once he comes back. But I'm going to read this from Common Dreams here. Biden's national security advisor is among those crafting the quote-unquote Project 2029 policy agenda for Democrats. Now, you know, from the people who brought you abundance, and by the way, we just brought, hey, Sandy, good to see you. By the way, we just brought abundance. Like in California, we just did the abundance agenda where like we just got rid of CEQA, which are like these environmental regulations to prevent building. We'll see how that works. I'm not sure it's going to work great considering how California works. But I'm just going to read from here. Amid the latest battle over the direction of Democratic Party should move in, a number of strategists and political advisors from across the center-left's ideological spectrum are assembling a committee to determine if the policy agenda they hope will be taken up by a Democratic successor to President Donald Trump. Some of the names on the list of people crafting the agenda, named Project 2029, are left progressives with deepened concerns the party insiders have quote unquote learned nothing and forgotten nothing from the president's electoral victories against centrist Democrats over the past decade, according to one economist. So the Project 2029 agenda is basically like abundance on steroids. It's ignoring a lot of the things that like Zohran Mamdani had said in this. And let's see. Project 2029's inclusion of strategists like Kessler, who declared economic populism as a quote-unquote dead end for Democrats in 2013, demonstrates the whole problem with Democratic leadership in a nutshell, according to Jonathan Cohen of Progressive Mass, as does Sullivan C. in the Progressive Board. So, like, I've got to, like, I don't even want to go into this, but, like, Project 2029 is basically abundance on steroids. And, the thing, and it's, like, directly the thing that did not win for Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani's, like, actual agenda of, like, hey, it's unaffordable to live in a city that you grew up in. Wouldn't it be great if it was affordable to live in the city you grew up in? Let's do that. And so this doesn't address that here. And so I want to get your thoughts here before getting into the fun part of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked that far into the the 2029
Project
agenda.
2029. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not great.
There was like a couple. I saw like the list of people that were putting it together that was on the committee, and there were a couple people that seemed interesting. I mean, obviously, Jake Sullivan's advisor or whatever is not who you want to be crafting your agenda, but there was like somebody that vaguely sounded progressive that I remember seeing on it, and I was like, all right, well, they're trying to bring together the two factions, I guess, of the party. I mean, I don't know. I want to see what's on it.
I will mention this in a random way because I'll do it here. Power Report has accidentally been the Robert Garcia report. My congressperson and somewhat former mayor of the city of Long Beach, California, and he actually got AOC's job, which was supposed to be the chair of the House Oversight Committee. And on the one hand, I have questions about his willingness to go like big dick when it comes to the establishment, the corporatists, the
it literally just is Jake Sullivan that was on the board of doing this.
Wasn't he in Politico? Wasn't he a Politico writer?
I think so originally, yeah.
Dude, like if it's the same person, I'm gonna nut. That's so funny because it just proves our point like to a T. But yeah, Robert Garcia is someone who I've talked to on this year of Power Report as being like, okay, he holds some smoke. I appreciate it. He could definitely be going harder against people like Elon Musk, but he in January or February, I think in February actually, he said too many Democrats are treating Elon Musk with kids gloves, and we can't be the type of Democrats who bring, I'm paraphrasing here, we can't be the type of Democrats who bring a knife to a gunfight. We have to bring a gun to a gunfight. And so that is, and Robert Garcia then got a message from the Trump administration, I want to say from like one of the people in the Department of Justice, who was like, hey, Elon Musk is a government employee. So like, did you actually mean your words when you said that you were threatening Elon Musk? Because if so, we're going to actually treat that as a threat. And then in the most Long Beach way possible, Robert Garcia says, you can kiss my left nut, you can suck my right nut, and I don't care what I said about Elon Musk. I said what I said, and he is a danger to this country, and we as Congress are going to bring a gun to a gunfight. Someone said, yeah, Rachel, thank you, shout here, or Jasmine Crockett's job saying about that. So like on the House Oversight Committee, Jasmine Crockett is on there, Maxwell Frost is on there, I want to say. And so you have a lot of, I will say this carefully, but you have a lot of progressives who have been chosen by the establishment of the Democratic Party to do their jobs, right? And so I think it's the smallest good news that you can get from the Democratic Party of being like, okay, these are like listen, Jasmine Crockett and Robert Garcia are the types of Democrats who were chastised by Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries after
Chuck Schumer.
Chucky the Shoon. Sorry, Jimmy Dore. But like these were people who were chastised after the State of the Union address. And I forget the older guy from Texas who
Al Green.
Al Green, that's right.
I just remember because he has the same name as the singer Al Green.
Literally, I was gonna be like, I have some cassettes from him. I want to say my parents have some cassettes they play when they tell me to get out of the room. But yeah, those types of Democrats who were going hard in the paint against people like against Donald Trump and his second administration, the people who were like interrupting his State of the Union address, the people who were like saying, hey, we're not gonna stand by these certain things. The same people who were chastised are many of these people who are now on this committee. And so I think that's a good thing. I think it's, I'm not even trying to be biased by saying that, like, I like my former mayor of the city, who I started my career in politics by running a campaign against him. With
Rokana, they put Rokana on it this time.
I mean, you know,
well, no, I'm just looking at the members of the oversight committee. Greg Kazar, who I like a lot. Seems like they put him on it. Summer Lee.
Yeah, I think they've got some good people on it. Of course, there's going to be some Republicans who like try to stalemate it. I don't love Rokana.
Put Rashida Tlaib on. Rashida Tlaib is on the oversight committee. That's crazy.
That's actually hard in the paint. I love that.
Yeah.
Like that's actually the Democrats cooking. It's like, hold up. Let them cook.
We're gonna put them on it. Ayanna Pressley.
Wait, Ayanna Presley's on the oversight committee?
That's what it. Yeah, oversight and government reform members.
Is Ilhan Omar on the Justice Committee? Because that would be hard in the paint. Okay, like I'll find out, but I would be surprised because I feel like we would hear more about the Justice Committee is going to recommend Sharia law. That's unfortunate and also true. But yeah, like I just want to be careful, and you know, I want to get an interview with Robert Garcia hopefully soon. I have a photo with him, as I explained in an earlier episode this year of Power Report. But like, I want to actually.
She's on the House Budget Committee, House Education Workforce Committee, and the subcommittee on health, employment, labor, pensions. Help. That's funny. That's funny that it's that health, employment, labor, pensions. Help.
Again, we'll let her cook. But yeah, I want to, again, if you're chosen, again, like I want folks to realize, like, let's read between the lines. AOC wasn't chosen and Robert Garcia was. So as much smoke as I be popping off on Robert Garcia, and again, I do want to talk to him ultimately in a future like Power Report interview style episode, but like as much smoke as I be popping up on Robert Garcia, he is still chosen by the Democratic Party to do what he's doing. And so I want to like be honest about exactly how that goes. And Rachel Atwood is correct. Didn't Garcia go to El Salvador to see Kilmar Abrego Garcia? Yes, that's correct. And we actually got some like, honestly, like it's hard for news to like hit me at this point, but there was a story out today about Kilmar Abrego Garcia's like lawsuit against the US government for a lot of the issues that he went through, and a lot of the, I hate even fucking using the word issues because he went through some, I'm trying to get emotional here, but like some extremely atrocious things at the hands of the American government via the Salvadoran government. We're talking about physical abuse and letting physical abuse happen in jails, which is like, natural and what we expect from American jails, but also what we've seen from Secot, the Salvadorian jails, that people who are, maybe you're in a gang, maybe you're a journalist who is calling out the regime, like you're still put in the jail, but like the things that he
severe beatings, severe beatings, severe sleep deprivation, inadequate nutrition, psychological torture.
And I think that's the best way you can put it without getting too graphic, honestly. Yeah. But like,
oh fuck, in those couple months, his weight dropped down to 184 from 215 pounds. Listen, I don't even want to go like it's a drop. I don't want to even go into the details because like, it's so like literally it will start to make me tear up on camera, and I don't want to do that right now. But like, this is America, y'all. Like, we are doing the Gestapo shit, and we're doing it in real time while many of us just go punch in, punch out to our jobs. And it is very, as someone who is also punching in and punching out to the job, like it's very disorienting at this moment, that we are not all like,
again, like I grew up with a decent, like not decent, but like I grew up with an okay version of the American educational system, the public educational system, and we were taught like, okay, during the Holocaust, we would hide Anne Frank. The Holocaust is happening right now, and we are like letting Anne Frank sit alone in a Home Depot parking lot while we, you know, fucking tap on our keyboards and shit, right? Like it's an unreality that we are dealing with, and it's a brutal unreality. And yeah, I'm rambling now, but like God, I so much wish for like a broad movement of people just like, let's leave our office jobs, let's leave the towers, let's flood the streets, let's get French with it, like let's actually, you know, meet the moment and meet the times we're doing. But this is too competitive of a country, and like we're not going to do that shit. But like horrors are happening before our eyes every single day in these 48 contiguous states united, and we're doing broke dick nothing about it. And that it shudders me, and I know a lot of people watching this to their core.
Yeah. Well, there's like, you know, like when you learn about it in school, and it's like, yeah, everyone would definitely, you know, hide Anne Frank. You don't think about how many different ways there are for, you know, cognitive dissonance, from all this stuff, where it's like, you know, the government starts telling people, well, actually, this person, you know, maybe they're a criminal, even if there's no criminal record, right? Like, no, this is a dangerous person. Oh, you don't have to worry about this. This person is blah blah blah. This person is here illegally, like that. Just that line, right? Like, this human being is here in this country illegally. You don't have to worry about them. This person is this. This person is that. And then they're like, oh, this isn't a concentration camp. It's a deportation camp. And then you spend a week arguing with people about whether or not this is a concentration camp.
Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but all of these things, right? Like, you don't think about how many ways there are to make people feel cognitive dissonance when it comes to actually spotting what something is. You know, like they would have been like, oh, well, Anne Frank isn't hiding in that attic. She actually, you know, she actually wants to be there, and also her family is blah blah, and then this and that. Like, if you're in the Nazi times, like you know, there's probably so many ways the fucking Nazis were able to you know, like enforce cognitive dissonance. Like, this isn't happening, don't worry about it. And it's like, you can commit to it and say, yes, it is, and I'm going to do something about it. But like, I think the majority of people make the choice not to, right? Like, the majority of people will take that out. If you're given an out where it's like, oh, don't worry about this, this is actually what's supposed to be happening, I think a lot of people will just take the out and say, it's not what you think it is. It's something different, you know?
Yeah, it sucks to feel like, you know, people I grew up with and people like, you know, I have been around and, for lack of a better word, like touched, like quite literally, you know, like in a hug or whatever, are the same sort of people who are like letting this stuff happen.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, you know, I'm not sure
a lot
of
the same, but like one example of something that happened in our lives, that we can see happen in our lives, that we witness happen in our lives, right? Like the Iraq War. And everyone says, oh, that's a forever war. We're not going to let that Iraq war happen again. And then the war drums start beating over Iran. And then everyone's like, oh, here's why this is slightly different than the Iraq war. And actually, we're going to do things differently this time. And it's not regime change. It's this or that. Like, just that cognitive dissonance is the same kind of thing, right? Like, you can just see that happen with something we actually did witness happen. As opposed to like the Holocaust, which, I mean, it happened while our grandparents were alive or whatever, but you can see why people will have that level of cognitive dissonance. But something that we literally did watch happen, and everyone goes, oh, here's why this is different, and a lot of people still take that out. And they go, oh, well, we need to get Iran because of nuke, like they have nukes. We need to get Iran because they could make a nuke one day. And it's like, how is that different than the WMDs thing? And it's like, oh, it's different.
Yeah, it's I always go back to the Boondocks reference. It's like, there are known knowns and there are unknown unknowns.
Yeah.
Things that we don't know that we don't know. We don't know that they have a weapon of mass destruction because that is an unknown unknown. So we gotta go in there anyways and make sure they don't, even though we're not sure if they do. Like, that's
yeah.
like, Like I am not.
There are
extending,
known
like,
unknowns. Every clip of Rumsfeld saying something like that enrages me because you can hear the reporters behind him laughing. They're like, he's so charming.
and you know what? I see it right now, right? Like, you know, I'm listening to the Politico Playbook sponsored by Pharma every single week, you know, because like that's how you get the information via podcast at least. And they're all leading into it. They're calling it like they're calling the bill what Donald Trump calls it, triple B, like, you know, in a direct way, the same way they called it Biden, like whatever Biden called it, they're calling it the same thing. Whether it's like, you know,
you call it the big ugly bill.
Thank God. Someone is fighting back. No, but like rather than calling it what it is, which is like, hey yo, not to get all yeah, like a West Side Gun about it, but like, hey yo, can we talk about the fact that basically our government can only pass like one bill every single administration? It's like everybody gets one, Spider-Man. Like you can only pass one bill, and then like that's a ball game. Like that is how we're actually doing things. When in reality, like, you know, the way politics is supposed to work is we pass a number of different, we do a little different bills. We do a little, you know, we do a little of this, a little bit of that, you know, we do a little bit of different bills in order to get people to understand like what government can possibly do for them. It's not just the DMV. It's not just like, you know, this random game of blackjack, but, you know, it may provide healthcare for you through the form of Medicaid and the way the states implement that through, you know, yeah, like I said, like whoever states implement that. It may provide SNAP programs. Like it's called food stamps, but it's the supplemental nutrition for, you know, adults and like I forget what it's called, but like, you know, these are important things. It may provide, you know, for terrible things for the military, whatever, but you know, these are government services that are important for people that are being assaulted, and they're very sneakily doing this. Like, we're gonna do it after the midterm elections. We're gonna do it after the midterm elections so it doesn't affect our, like, you know, people aren't like dying while they're at the polls because they hate us so much and they're motivated to vote. But it's a flashpoint. Like it is definitely a flashpoint for the American system. And again, like in any civilized country, we'd be protesting this. Like we'd be lighting up the streets.
Which, I mean, you know, so like people have within the last whatever amount of time. I mean, one problem with
I mean, like, not really. Like, we haven't had French protests actually. Like, the media has been
hoping, I'm hoping the protests mount, right? Like, I'm hoping that people.
Like the media has been, the American media has been saying like, our like Los Angeles looks like a Forrest background right now. It's like literally the gates of Helltown, but like, it's not like that. It's like barely a square mile radius that is, you know, running like that. Like it is actually pretty peaceful here in Los Angeles. Like I am back in my beautiful little suburb of Los Angeles, and like ain't broke dick happening out here. And so that is what people have to deal with. But like you
know what really sucks? Conan did his tour across the West, right? And he finished his tour in LA the last day. He just happened to arrive in LA the same day the protests kicked off, and like everybody was out in the streets, and he had to play his last show because he had scheduled it like months in advance. And he was like, I got all the way to LA, that was our last show and of this tour, and like it was the same day everything kicked off. And it was like,
well, you know, let's take some moments to feel bad for Conan O'Brien really quickly.
Conan, like our movie night co-host.
Oh
Not
my
Conan
God.
O'Brien. Conan Neutron Conan.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
He went with Conan and the Secret Friends. They did a tour all the way across the West Coast. They finally made it to LA, and he was really hyped for that show, and it just happened to be the same day.
God damn it. I have something on my desk that is from the last Conan show, Conan Neutron show that was played in Los Angeles, because me and Ben Burgess were actually there together. I
Yeah.
haven't talked about this much on air, but like we were both there. And this was during a lot of Anna Kasparian stuff, and he has a relationship with Anna, and I have a relationship with Anna, and I'm not going to get into it right now. But it was a good time for all involved, and knowing Conan Neutron, I'm sure that did great for his overall demeanor and everything that was going on there.
He was not happy about it. The rest of the show, his shows weren't really good, like the rest of them. But like I was hitting him up, and he was like driving through the fucking traffic in LA while the protests were kicking off, and I was like, oh man, like, because I went to Caterwall with him, like I went to Minneapolis, and I was there for a few days hanging out, and yeah.
I will honestly say he probably had better traffic than usual going through the protest.
Everyone's concentrated in one area. I mean, he's from Oakland, like.
Yeah, and also like
not the same. I mean, not close to LA, but he's from California, so it's like when he goes back there, it's like he's all hyped because he's home. When he goes back to California in general, I mean, like.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. There are people in chat who like have opinions, but like I'm gonna generally leave that there. And also, I will acknowledge that California is definitely its own place now that I've been on the East Coast, because the West Coast is mostly California, and seeing some stories coming out of Washington and Oregon over the past week, especially with cops, good thing that's mostly California on the coast. But we run things a little bit differently out here. I wanted to ask before we end the show, because I know we're getting late on there. Like, I wanted to put forth, and I don't know what we call this. Maybe we work this out during the show, but like, the Democrats have a Project 2029 that is unfortunately very built on abundance right now, like the Democratic Party, and like, I want to start talking about, let's go crazy. Like let's engage in joy. Like let's engage in like crazy psychopathic joy for a little bit moment. And let's talk about Project 2029 from not the left, but our left, right? And it's just like, what do we do from all of this? And let me just say like some of the top level things. Also, I want to shout out Sparky Pete here saying, thank you to every ally. You all save lives, especially trans people, more than people will ever know, as we're starting July. So fuck pride. No, I'm just kidding. As a bisexual person, as folks have mentioned.
I think it's actually in the big beautiful bill. They're actually going to enforce straightness during July.
Yeah. You all get Pride Month. We get America Month. That's July, folks. It's America Month. It's nothing but red, white, and blue and the American flag, like literally thumbs under armpit style. Like this.
They have their own. They have their own flag. They have their own flag. You know what? We have our flag. We have our flag.
Robert Garcia, who is not only the first Latino mayor of Long Beach before he became a congressperson and the chair of the House Oversight Committee, but was also the first openly gay mayor of Long Beach. One thing I like about Long Beach is that we celebrate Pride in May. We're like, sorry, June is not gay enough for us. We're going to do Pride Month earlier than everyone else, and that's the way we rule.
I like Sublime.
One of the members of Sublime sexually assaulted my mother, so I'm just not going to mention that too much.
Well, I didn't know that.
No, it's fine. No, I didn't expect you to know that. It's a perfectly fine thing. That I'm sure they're a good band, and this is all allegedly, of course. Like, I don't know this for sure. Memory is weird, but also, that's my mom, and that's my opinion. So
I didn't know that, and I don't know. I don't like Sublime.
No, that's again. I'm not putting anyone on the spot here. But I do want to say that if we were talking about and again, Forrest and I were kind of chatting about this in our like own little like mini group chat before the show about like what would we call our triple B of the left. But no, like I'm just gonna run through some very quick, in a Dan way, very quick things about what my big beautiful bill would be.
Christina in chat going, big bountiful boobs. Is that that's the last version of
yeah, nothing that Forrest and I are interested in at all, but but no, my triple B is
first getting some golden dome.
It's less of a we have oscillated from a terrible experience my mother had to an awesome experience that we've both had. So like we're just gonna like, we have great times here on Power Report. But yeah, no. Again, like I see this AOC like went hard in the paint for this, and I appreciate her, but also like it was too much too soon. She was talking about the Green New Deal in the context of FDR's New Deal, which is like back then it wasn't even called the New Deal so much as it was called like the alphabet soup of government. Like we're going to create all these different programs that are now currently being destroyed by the Trump administration. We're going to create a program like the original BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, and we're going to make sure that our public lands and public resources that belong to United States taxpayers, that belong to the people of the government, belong to the frankly undocumented immigrants who pay taxes but don't get much back from that, rather, right? Like that is something that we get, right? So like I see a left BBB as like because honestly the amount of chaos that is being struck on America by the Republican Party and by the Democrats by being complicit, because well, what the fuck's a parliamentarian? like we need to, the only way to measurably get out of this and save the country, not to make it the global hegemon that it was in the late 90s, but to make it like let's make America like Germany again, right? Like let's at least be like the 6th or 7th best like economy in the country. But like we need universal healthcare. We need universal childcare throughout the whole country, not just in New York, like Zoran Mondani is talking about, but we need all of that. We need a Green New Deal to give people jobs that also gives people like, an ability to see themselves in the country. We need so much right now. And we need this in rural areas. We need this in urban areas. We have jobs that need to be done. Like I wrote a dissertation, not to be all Emma Vigeland, Michael Brooks. I wrote an honors thesis about this, but like I wrote a dissertation about how all of the gas companies could make so much money by just being green energy companies. And here I am landing at LAX and I see this gas station called BP Pulse, and it's just a Tesla charging station owned by Arco or, BP, British Petroleum, right? Like they're doing the obvious thing, which is like, okay, well, we used to be a gas company, or now we're an electricity company. And like, they're still going to be making money off of that. They're going to be not making as much money because the infrastructure, because they have to build all this stuff out. But America is afraid to make companies that make money hand over fist, make slightly less money in the short term and more money in the long term. And like, I think like that is, at the risk of making myself ineligible for like most flights in the future, I'm just going to say it. Sorry, Forrest, might be you too. But like China knows how to deal with billionaires. Right? Like they know how to cook when it comes to billionaires. And we know, like they know how to like, okay, you've gotten too big for your britches, big guy. We're going to knock you down a few pegs so that like a couple million more people can eat. And like that is the way that.
Well, it's not just that they know that a pretty easy mechanism of social unrest, right? If a guy gets to be too rich and if a guy kind of has too much money, it's a great mechanism. If you just take that guy out of the, out of the strata, it's a great mechanism to quell unrest, because it feels like the government and like the party is actually kind of dealing with people's issues, because they're like, well, this guy that everyone like, imagine if every year, let's say, right, and things started to get bad, and then you take out Elon Musk or you take out a Mark Zuckerberg and you give them a show trial in front of the entire country, like morale in the country, I think, would go up drastically.
Yeah, like we need something that boosts people's confidence in the economy, and not just the same way that, like, people talk about consumer confidence, like generally in economics, right? But like something that gets people to be like, okay, actually, I believe this economy works for me. I believe that we are going to, if I work however many hours a week, I'm going to be able to afford a house, food, a family. Like, you're talking about the male loneliness epidemic. There's a lot of men who are just like, I can't support a family.
Yeah.
Like, even with a wife who is also working a job, because it is a fantasy world, the idea that, the man brings home all of the work and like the woman does like, nothing but housekeeping. Like, there are very few jobs that allow that. And if you are a man who has that job, you're a terrorist. Like, let me just be honest. Like, there's nothing paying that much money unless you are literally a terrorist. I know bankers who could not make their, who could not have housewives like that, right? So like, you're literally working for Blackwater if you're like that. But yeah, we have this environment where people think that you can have that sort of lifestyle, but in reality, we truly cannot do that long term. And so we've got to be careful for those sort of things, but also like thinking about, I hate that they stole the word abundance, because like socialism is abundance. Actually, it's like,
Yeah.
we're not taxing, like, billionaires shouldn't exist. And it's like, I love this. Should billionaires have a right to exist? It's like, I wish I could just jump out and say, no. If you
only two things have a right to exist: billionaires and Israel. I've never heard I've never heard the right to exist in any other context.
Does the working class have a right to exist? Like, no one asks Andrew Cuomo, does the working class have a right to exist? No one asks Donald Trump, hey, do bartenders and people who clean houses have a right to exist? Like, that doesn't happen. Like, that's how class warfare like, no one, and this is how this episode gets demonetized, but Forrest is here, so it's either gonna be one of us. Let's do it. No one asks if Luigi Mangione has a right to exist. No one says that. No one says that. But you know what? Hey, you know what?
I guess the other way that it works, right? Everyone that was like, "Oh, do you condemn Luigi Mangione?" And it's like, I wasn't there. Why would I? Why would I do that? Why would I condemn Luigi Mangione? You know what I mean? Like, I had nothing to do with that. Like, I think what he did was good, but I also had nothing to do with it. Like, I wasn't there on that street. Like, there's like a weird mechanism where they try to get anybody that has opinions on, class warfare or on Israel. I mean, it's the same thing they do with like Hamas, but it's like, if you have opinions on these certain things, right? Like, they try to squash it by like trying to get you to condemn whatever the thing is or admit it.
Yeah, like they try to get you on some other different thing where they can like word different. Like, again, like the idea that there is discourse around Zohran Mamdani is like, oh, he won't condemn the phrase globalize the intifada, which he definitely said. Like, literally, he's never said the phrase, at least like as we can see on recording. If he did, I don't care. But also, when he has been confronted with the phrase, which is the most truthful thing you can say, he was confronted with the phrase and then he gave an answer.
Yeah. Well, the thing with
sorry, really fast. Like he gave an answer by saying, "Listen, intifada is a word that is used by the Holocaust Museum when they are translating struggle into Arabic. The word struggle into Arabic. All right, like this is just words. Like you know. So if you are a, you know." Again, like I don't hear a lot of Jew. I have
It's
not
not, it's
actually
not a
heard.
struggle, by the way. It was when they were talking about the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, and the word uprising, right, is intifada in Arabic. And up until I think last year, they literally had intifada is like, you know, it was the Warsaw Ghetto intifada pretty much in Arabic, and it's like,
Thanks for correcting me, because jihad is actually struggle.
yeah,
Which
slash,
is also
like,
again like let's go a step further. And if Zoran Mondani was forced to, and you know, honestly, considering America, we're actually predicting the future because this will probably happen. If Zoran Mondani was forced to defend the word jihad again, he would have to go back and say, well, now we're just doing Google Translate. We're not actually talking about opinions. We are now just talking about language. And the word jihad means struggle. And again, like the word intifada, uprising, as you're citing it here. And like that is the piece that we're talking about. Also,
damn, they're rating from, you got rated from this space, which I think they just were playing movie night extravaganza on there.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're either doing movie night or leftist mafia, but shout out to all of y'all regardless. But anyways, like,
well, the thing with the difference between like something like jihad, right, or intifada, like they're trying to condemn chants that have happened on college campuses, which it's funny to assume that any college students that did pro-Palestinian chants of any kind, right, like if you support Palestine, you have to condemn those chants. And it's like it shows this complete lack of of ever getting into politics for the reason that you have these beliefs. Because if you get into politics from a place of pro-Palestinian activism, where at a time where, you know, the boot has come down on the neck so many times for different pro-Palestinian protests, and they've used it to call people anti-Semitic, and they've used it to try to crush them, and they've used it to like literally just over and over and over again, you're of course not going to condemn anything from those protests, because you're already you would be starting out your political career saying I'm already ceding ground on something that I believed in this much. I think that when people try to get you to condemn something, it's because they don't believe in anything. They can't understand why you would possibly have something that you're not going to condemn, like, you know, why you wouldn't do that. And they're like, well, why don't you just condemn globalize the intifada? I came up with it in my head, and now I'm asking you to condemn it. And it's like,
literally, it's like it is. I think you mentioned this earlier in the show in a different context, but it's literally why can't you stop beating your wife?
Yeah.
Like it's that question.
When did you stop jihading your wife?
Yeah. when did you stop intifadaing your wife? Like that is basically like how we're doing this here. When did you stop globalizing the intifada on your wife?
When did you stop globalizing your wife? Globalize the wife intifada.
In the words of Alex Jones, politically. But like, yeah, like the way I know you talked in the beginning, and now as we're nearing the end of the show, although I know you can go longer, but like as we're talking about how Zoran's win has been taken, especially by Democrats, is kind of crazy. But like, you know, the whole Zoran's answer even then was like, I'm not going to police speech. At the risk of any future political career I have, let's run it. The only way that I would police speech is to protect words and phrases and things that actually don't have any threat towards Jewish Americans who I love and I appreciate, who I have many friends are. I'm not going to do the whole I have black friends thing, but like, you know, not an anti-Semitic bone for my body. In fact, I scream Free Palestine because I am against anti-Semitism. Like, I hate Nazis, and I hate people who want to, you know, eradicate Jewish people from the world so much that I yell Free Palestine, because these are the exact same opinion.
I mean,
am
pretty
a
much everybody that I've worked for, like, I mean, from Michael Brooks, obviously, but like to Ben Burgess, to working for Katie Halper at like various, like, so many of the people that I've done work for that I've looked up to a lot are Jewish anti-Zionists. Like, it's been a big part of, like, you know, both my journey through being a leftist and then being a socialist and everything, but also just like my work history, like people I looked up to a lot and that I have that I've worked
like
for.
I mean, you know, sorry to interrupt, but like I have Jewish friends who are not holding the best opinions right now when it comes to the what's happening in Gaza, but a lot of those same Jewish friends were standing up for me and with me during things like Black Lives Matter, like going back to the Trayvon Martin protests, like going back to other things that were happening on the African continent and the Middle East, right? Like go back all the way to the civil rights movement, and there are Jews marching with blacks, like, and I'm just like, you know, using the most racist phrases possible to continue doing it, but like, you know, Jewish people marching with black people side by side, because Jewish people came on buses down to you know, Selma and the March on Washington and all these other different things, because there is like there's so much of a history of that connection there. So believe me, I hold no anti-Semitism in my body. And it's because I am speaking for the Jewish anti-Zionists in my life who are saying that, like, you know, what's going on in Palestine is terrible. And I think like one of the things I would do in my Project 2029 would be like, okay, we want to do this so-called, you know, right-wing populism that is anti-war and America first. Okay, Israel's number one. We're no longer funding Israel. No more Iron Dome, even though
take the money from the Iron Dome, put it all in the Golden Dome.
Take the money from the Iron Dome, make it so Johnny Greenwood and Tom York can have a relationship again. Like, you know? That's a deep cut Radiohead joke, but yeah, like I would, like, not only on foreign policy but domestic policy, it would be abundance from the far left. And also, and I gotta just say this again at the risk of getting all of us canceled on the show, is that like everyone, all these masked ICE people, Hague, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Like, you are going to go. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that, like, it's the Trump administration, like, wow, you can kind of be genuinely fucking shocked by the fact that we're now just allowing people wearing masks to go grab whoever the fuck they want without a warrant, without anything, without showing any ID, without giving your names, without telling, and they're just allowed to go, like, throw people into unmarked vans. Like, the fact that that's a thing, and anyone can, like, we're gonna find out so many people were, like, put into human trafficking or like situations like that, right? Because it's somebody that actually isn't even involved with ICE, or maybe they are. I mean, ICE does also have, you know, like roads to human trafficking, of course, but like we're probably going to find out that there were people that weren't involved with ICE at all that just grabbed people and threw them into a van. Like, it's insane.
Oh no, we're already seeing stories of people who we're already seeing stories. Sorry to interrupt, but like, I promise this will be a quick one. We're already seeing stories of people impersonating ICE agents to kidnap people and do SA on people. Like, it is horrifying. It is hair-pullingly depressing. That's like, okay, well, like, even ICE doesn't show themselves who they are. So if like anyone with a Ford Explorer and a hard cock can also do what ICE is doing, but in a much darker, depressing way.
Yeah. And then you look into like you know, like human trafficking networks. It's like, what's stopping somebody from that's involved in that kind of thing from just going like, hey, guess what? I have a van. Like, I have a van, and no one's gonna question it, because it's not just the fact that ICE does that now. It's the fact that the people are completely.
I have a van. I'm the man who can stop it. No one can. Like, you know, like that's. Sorry.
It's just insanity. Like, I don't see how I don't see how a normal society can function with like a Savak running around, that kind of thing. Like, you know,
like
the-
Pinkerbell
the-
says, it's a predator's dream. And it's like, again, I'm not wishing this because, listen, I want all of these masked ICE agents who are, just following orders. Again, Hague, do not pass go, do not collect $200. All right. But I want them alive at the Hague to
Yeah.
live for the rest of their life and suffer the way they've made other people suffer. I don't want them dead. And it's kind of wild, especially like, again, if we give ICE this 168 or 170, million dollar extension budget that we're giving them. Again, if you're a long-term holder and abolish ICE, you are so up right now. But I don't want to give them this extensive multi-million dollar budget and then send them into states like, okay, y'all be popping off that good about California. Let's send these randos into Texas. Let's send them into Eastern Washington. Let's send them into like Chicago, where they say all the gangs and all the guns are. And let's see how non-violently they're able to like kidnap people from the streets. Not even kidnap people, but like literally kidnapping kids off the streets. Let's see how good that's gonna work. And again, I don't want anyone hurt at all, but if I were driving around in an unmarked Ford Explorer and I was just nabbing people off the street, especially in the middle of the country, as someone who just cross country, like traveled the middle of the country, I would expect some heavy steel to be pointed in my direction, honestly, for good reason, if I were ever doing that. But like, I would never. But yeah,
it's yeah. I mean, we've already seen like a senator get taken down by ICE, like and slammed onto the ground and fucking fucked up by ICE. Nobody stopped
Alex
that.
Padilla, I want to say from California. Yeah.
And then we had JD Vance mock him and call him Jose Padilla or whatever on TV. Like, all right,
And like, you know what? Like,
but like
Alex-
that's a senator. We've had I think there's been situations where Congress people now have been slammed by ICE. You've had literally a mayoral candidate and Brad Lander get taken trying to help a immigrant that was seeking asylum, going through the correct pathway too, like having their asylum claim looked at by a judge, and then they choked him out and sent him to a detention facility. And so Kathy Hochul showed up and got him out or whatever, bailed him out. And then, but you've also had a mayor that got taken down. I think you've had multiple Congress people that have gotten taken down to a nice facility. Like they're getting it too empowered. Like I don't think they should be able to do that to anybody, obviously, at all. But like it's like they're trying to show that nobody's safe, right? Like various untouchable people or people that should be seen as untouchable are able to just be slammed to the ground and nobody does anything about it. Like there's no other law enforcement body that shows up and goes, hey, you can't do that to a person that's supposed to have some kind of legal protection. You know what I mean? Like there's nobody like these norms, these very basic, like extremely basic to our situation, like norms are being violated at an insane rate. Like just the fact that like when have you ever seen a senator get thrown to the ground, right? Like if I walked up right now and tried to tackle a senator, I'd be dead within,
yeah, like it's really one of those things where like, okay, well, like the senator has a public security detail and the the Trump's press people have a security detail. So it's like, Secret Service versus Secret Service. Like, what are we doing here? No, yeah, like you're absolutely right on this. And it's like I keep trying to tell people that I had a very fortunate upbringing where I was, even though you might not notice because all the fireworks are going off behind me, but like I had a very fortunate upbringing.
You got fireworks behind you too. I just had some good shot off behind me as well.
Okay, the issue with California is that our fireworks season starts on Memorial Day and ends around Thanksgiving, with peaks around New Year's Eve, birthdays, quinceañeras, block parties, and random Tuesdays. So like we always have fireworks, but like I didn't even hear this many fireworks in New York, and they be having block parties like on again, Tuesdays at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Anyways,
yeah, depending on where you go in the city.
Come visit.
I love that there's still places that have like dollar beer nights in the city, and it's like this feels like
you gotta hit me on those dollar beer nights. But
I have a couple of friends that like go to them, and that I'm always like, hey, tell me when they are, and they never do.
Hook a brother up, man. But no, we are in this environment, and thankfully there are certain politicians who are standing up for it. But too many politicians.
So the day that an ICE agent decides, hey, I can fucking kill this politician. I'm literally at a loss for what happens next, because there's gonna come a time where an ICE agent like tries to do a Derek Chauvin to a politician and like kneel on their neck or something like that. And like at what point where's there's got to be a line. If there's no line, then we're fucked. Society is just crumbling. Like
the line is the 2026 election, I think, honestly. And the thing that gives Donald Trump kryptonite right now is the idea that he is ruling, and I can't even say legislating or whatever you call what a president does as an action, but like he is ruling as an oligarch, and he is ruling as though he has a mandate, when in reality the couch beat Donald Trump. People who decided to not vote in the United States of America because we don't have compulsory voting, unlike a place like Australia, like they won. Donald Trump was second place, and because the couch doesn't have a candidate. And I'm sure every American would prefer the empty couch right now in the White House.
Yeah.
that empty IKEA or like West Elm joint, like we prefer that. We are instead with Donald Trump's mandate. And so I think that like I said, we need a full on, like, the way Barack Obama talked about reforms is gutter shit compared to what I'm thinking about right now. Like, we need full on, like, let me put my Steve Bannon cap on. We need fucking, let's run this. We need fucking 5-year plans. Okay. Like,
yeah.
We need great leaps forward. Again, like, to make it more American, we need FDR's New Deal. And we need like a bunch of organizations. We need a bunch of alphabet organizations. We need a bunch of things to like rapidly undo all of the horrendous things that have been done over the past couple of years.
I mean, I legitimately don't know how anybody left of center can look at first the pandemic. I didn't know how you could look at the pandemic and not come to the instantaneous conclusion, hey, we need Medicare for all, because all of our health is interconnected as a society. If we don't have Medicare for all, we're fucked, because this is all an interconnected thing. And when some people don't have health insurance and some people do, and other people are going into debt, it already fucks you up, right? But now we can see how easily they can kick this many people off of Medicaid. And it's like, I don't know how you don't see this and think to yourself, as any kind of center left person, right? Like, we can't function as a society without Medicare for all. Like, I don't know what's going to happen when people start getting those medical bills that previously had, like Medicaid. I might be one of those people. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen when that starts happening.
Dude, I feel for you. I'm not trying to condescend or whatever, but like, I saw you post something on like Twitter or Blue Sky or something that was like, I'm on Medicaid. I am doing better as a person because of healthcare that
I'm currently
right.
I currently go to therapy. That would be taken away. Like, I go to a psychiatrist. That would be taken away. Like, it took me a long time even to get to the point where like I was willing to try those things. Like, for a long time, I was just like, I'll raw dog life. And it's like, it took a long time.
All of these services that Dan may need more than Forrest.
But it's like, it took a really long time for me to get to the point where I was like, these services are something that I need enough that I need to go to them, right? Like, it already is hard. Like, another thing is like the dentist. Like, I hate the dentist so much. Like, for me to go to the dentist, and it's like, I don't know. It's
your most universal.
I'm doctor phobic. I even have that white coat hypertension thing where you go to the doctor's office and your blood pressure bounces, like jumps. Like I even have that. Like I'm so for me to go to a doctor at all is already a fucking is already a stretch, and it's like you're gonna make it harder
Yeah,
to know
if people can't tell by my shine that I really try to show, this is British dental healthcare going on right here. Like that's the thing. But
I mean, at some
yes.
point, you might just have to go to like Mexico and get the, you know, they have the good health, the good dental or whatever for cheaper, and it's like they have great dentists down in Mexico, like
them young Turkish veneers. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Any Mexican baddies, hit me up. My email is dan@syndicate23.co. No, I'm kidding. I mean, also, I'm not kidding. If you have citizenship, the email address is dan at. Anyways,
any Mexican dental hygienist, hit me up.
Any Mexican dental hygienist baddies, again, the email is dan@syndicate. Anyways, God damn it, Windows installed Cortana. Or whatever the little search thing is for me again. But regardless, yeah, so beyond what we're talking about, like an actual progressive abundance agenda, and like also like I want universal housing, right? Like I've driven through America. We've got room. We have room, we have money. Okay, like every person living in this country, born in this country for however long naturalized birthright citizenship exists in this country, everyone has room for a house, not just not just an apartment, not just a studio apartment, although we can settle on that, all right? Because we can settle on, like, you know, at least having a roof over everyone's head, even if it's like kind of small. But like we have enough room for everyone to have a house and, you know, like a 1/4 acre of land. Don't quote me on that, but I'm saying we have like the abundance is already in the room with us right now, and it's not going to come from millionaires and billionaires. All right. I was talking to people who are fucking Republicans in the middle of the country in fucking broke dick Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado area, like on that corner of the area. And they were like saying the same thing. They were coming up to me, and sorry to spoil a video I'm working on, but like they were coming up to me and saying, you know, the only issue with y'all Californians, speaking to me, was like, you move here and then you increase the prices of what's going on. And I had to tell him, like, yes, you're right. And I, as a Californian, am being priced out of the place that my parents live and my grandparents live in California because of some MFers from Ohio and Wyoming and Nebraska and Colorado are now moving here and raising the prices, right? Like that is the situation. That is the problem right here. And kind of like Pinkerbell is saying right now, the landlord did lie. Like this is a fundamental issue with capitalism. And we don't have to phrase it like that. It's no need to say it like that. But to start to advocate on those issues of like, kind of like Zoran is saying, kind of like Bernie has been saying for decades, frankly, right? You work the American dream job, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, you get a house. You don't work the American dream job, all right? Like you just exist in this country. You're getting by. You get at least a studio apartment, right? Like we need to start having these guidelines and be like, I'm going to negotiate for homeless people to have 40 acres and a mule because that's how far I'm going to force Republicans, if I ever get power, to fight me on. All right? Because if I land at homeless people or unhoused people get studio apartments, that's because I started at unhoused people get 40 acres and a mule. Right? Like that's because I'm starting at $40 million for every black descendant of slaves. Or, you know, like any indentured servant who might also be white too, right? Like that, like you have to negotiate me.
Yeah, where's
crazy progressive Trump down from that? Yeah.
Where's reparations for the Irish?
Reparations for the fucking Polish dude. Like that's how hard in the paint I'm about to. First of all, reparations for the First Nations. That's literally going to be my campaign plan. Reparations for the First Nations. Because, like, fuck a land acknowledgement. Let's get down to brass ass taxes, dude. Like let's
Yeah,
actually start
land acknowledgements always seemed. I mean, look, people like them, I guess, but it just always seemed like almost insulting because it's like, yeah, we acknowledge we stole your land, and it's like, how does that help? Like, if I'm Native American, right, and they're like, oh, we acknowledge we stole your land. Can I have the land back? No. Okay, well, the fuck was that? Like,
it's exactly what Gavin Newsom did when he admitted that he fucked his best friend's wife. I'm always gonna admit it. I'm always gonna say it. I'm always gonna throw it out there. Like,
he's one crazy motherfucker. He should not be. He should leave politics and just be a lech. You know what I mean? Like, he could have like he could have his winery money, and he could just, you know, he could just be a debaucherous guy.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted to do. I mean, he is already penis cousins with Donald Trump Jr. through Kimberly Guilfoyle, so that's already very much there, right?
He has a kid with Kimberly Guilfoyle, right?
Wait, he does. That's right. Oh my god.
Yeah. Dude, what's that handoff like? Because I mean, assumably he has to go there, and he has to go there and either pick up the kid or the kid has to they have to communicate a little bit. Like, I don't know.
Do you think it's better or worse than the handoff with Steven Crowder?
No, I think Steven Crowder is an insane person, and I don't. Well, Kimberly Guilfoyle is obviously an insane person, but I think probably in a different way than Steven Crowder is.
I can see that. I understand the vision. I usually, I had so much more show. I think I'm gonna, record some things over the long weekend because I'm not celebrating this weekend. I see people who are like, "Happy 4th of July," and I'm like, "Happy long weekend." I've fully become one of those people. But Forrest, I know it's late for you. It's also late for
you gotta wait. There's one more thing we gotta watch because it is the 4th of July. Hold on.
Literally, I was gonna say, Forrest, I need to give you some time to just hijack the show. So, this is literally your time.
Throw this on because it's the classic. It's the best video of all time.
Are you able to add stuff to the screen? Because I'll just project. Oh, I see what you sent. Okay, let me run it. Sorry, one sec. I'm reacting to this the same time as y'all are. This is a 13.
Oh, you thought this was a rabbit?
Yeah, you've never seen that video?
I've never seen this video.
We're just always on the fucking timeline. I don't know.
Okay, we're gonna run it. Here we go.
Oh, you thought this was a rabbit? They thought this was a rabbit?
No, that's funny.
That's fucking funny, bitch. It's fucking Winnie the fucking Pooh. Yeah. Fuck 4th of July.
Literally the greatest video.
Sorry, Christina, but I can fix her. No, that's hilarious. No, literally, I wanted to. Any other things you were kind of thinking about for the show, as news you wanted to cover, think about, talk about? I really want to give you the floor as you deserve.
I mean, I don't know. Just plug movie night extravaganza. You guys should definitely come on there. I feel like we touched on as many things as really are going on. I mean,
we usually originally Power Report was a show that Bam and I started because Trump in the first term started bombing countries in the Middle East. So there's definitely a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East, but it's definitely a continuation of such
yeah, but it's an escalation, and I definitely one day want to come on and delve into that. Especially if more shit happens, it's hard to know what the fuck. I feel like at the beginning of the week we were dealing with the fact that maybe we were going to war with Iran, and then as soon as they started trying to pass this bill, they dropped that. They're like, fuck this. we'll call this a ceasefire, and
2
then
weeks. 2 weeks.
and just give us, and then we'll pass this bill. So it's like it's hard to even know what's going on with that. It's like too much is going on at once. It makes it hard to even talk about it all.
No, I totally get that, and I'll definitely note we've been very well behaved this time.
Yeah, and everyone avoided the show. Everyone avoided me. Like I have leprosy. The 4th of July on the 4th of July.
No. I have not avoided. I literally haven't been doing.
Oh, I meant like Bam and everybody else. So it was...
No. Can I be 100? Like, can I keep it 1,000 with y'all? Can I keep it 1,000 with you, Forrest?
Go ahead.
I wanted you on this show. Like, number one, I wanted Forrest on the show because we could talk about this like deep bill stuff.
Yeah.
Bam asked to be on this show. He was like, "Oh, you and Forrest? No, I'm out." I asked Christina. She was like, "Oh, you and Forrest? No, I'm out." So we're a special coupling. But literally, it's
Christina didn't think she was gonna get a word in edgewise.
Christina was not gonna get a word in edgewise.
No,
because I think, as she said earlier in the chat, like a long time ago, because we're sexist. There we go. Yeah. I wouldn't get a word in if I was on the panel, by the way. So Stan and Forrest are sexist, clearly. That is the truth. No. I'm just hello, future employers or current employers. I'm not a sexist. Forrest is not a sexist either, I think. Anyways, no, totally not. But no, yeah. We are a coupling. But also like it's all love truly from here. I think you're one of the smarter, unacknowledged minds in this space, especially. And
yeah, I don't get really any acknowledgement. Well, I mean, it's fine. Like, I don't think most people have heard of me. I was on. I know you don't fuck with them really, but like, I mean, you and them have gone back and forth. But I was on like the Vanguard, a week.
For the record, I didn't react because you said the Vanguard. I reacted because of a firework going off. But yeah.
But like, I was on with them.
Let my facial structures continue. Yeah.
No, I was on with them, and like, they're like, well, people probably know who you are, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't think so.
I'm just waiting for someone to mention me on the show. I have a few people who I'm connected with who have spoken with the Vanguard recently, who have not. And should I do it right now? I'm not gonna do it right now. Should I do it right now?
Should I do it? I'm not gonna do it. Should I do it? What are you gonna do?
Niggas acting bad, but somebody gotta do it. Got my finger on the gas, but somebody gotta do it. Okay. I have recorded 3 versions of like a Vanguard takedown video that I don't want to do, actually, because like I don't really like doing these kind of things. They've turned down 2 discussions, 2 very good faith discussions that wouldn't be hosted by me. They would be hosted by another person or other people who are more favorable to them. They won't do it. I just think that's interesting. I would rather they change their mind before I have to start actually getting serious about this video, because I'm back in my home studio. I have my good ass working Alienware. Notice how there haven't been any glitches with the stream. That's because I'm working with my baddie right here. I'm working with, you got to see how many GPU teraflops we got in this bad boy, right? Like, I got time now. I got time for the rest of this month. So I'm just saying.
I mean, I think you guys should just have a conversation about stuff. I don't know. They seem cool. Like I don't think that they're. You guys have too many mutual. I think you guys have too many mutual friends for a beef to be of any good use.
I think many people would agree, but for the sake of the trans community, for the sake of people of color, I think they should stand on business, and they shouldn't be afraid to experience a little bit of power report. Or, again, like I said, they shouldn't be afraid to experience some discourse on other shows that are very neutral and very popular on the left that have invited them to have this debate with me, but they have explicitly said that they don't want to talk to me. So
I mean, I could reach out now that I've been on the show.
you know, I'd appreciate that, and I am going to maybe play a little bit of hardball with some other people that I know to get them to reach out. But yeah, I
don't think that they're not like they're not bad dude. Like I think they're good dudes. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I could see how people would get shook not wanting to get into like a long debate. Like I don't know what I would do if I was like, if somebody was like, this person you don't really know wants to debate you, I'd be like, I don't. No matter what.
Again, first of all, Forrest, I understand you not wanting to debate me given our like history with conversating.
I'm not talking about you. I came on your show, didn't I?
No, but no. I know we're kidding. But second of all, they made a video about me and then deleted it because I was criticizing Kyle Kalinske for who he invited to his and Crystal Ball's wedding.
Yeah, they're close with Kyle Kalinske for whatever reason.
Yeah. And I was criticizing Kyle and them for doing the same thing that TYT is doing right now. And they flipped, they switched, but like no one is talking about that flip and switch. And I don't need them to be all like defensive about it, but I'm like, they called me crazy for the thing that is allowing one of Silly and Billy to go and travel with their girlfriend in Thailand or whatever the fuck is going on. I'm not even gonna touch that other than what I just did. But like y'all are making money on the same thing that I called you out on. And as Bam said in one of the first episodes that We Made a Podcast, pay your taxes. I'm just asking, pay your taxes, acknowledge it, let's move on, and let's, maybe we can be friends. But
I don't know. I think they could benefit from a conversation. Like I think everyone should be open to having a conversation.
I mean
it's hard.
It's also crazy that they, again, I'm not trying to be bitter man here, but like it's also crazy that they won't talk to me considering their entire YouTube AdSense revenue is TYT drama, and I worked at TYT.
Yeah.
And I literally, and people know this when I was like super crashing out in December, right? And honestly before, but like, I gave them so much bait. Like I interviewed Mondale Robinson. I interviewed J.R. Jackson. I interviewed and talked with my former coworker, Hank Thompson, about the inner workings of TYT. And they didn't cover that. The only thing was they said, oh, Dan from the internet has a video about J.R. Jackson, but it says J.R. Jackson makes an announcement about TYT, not J.R. Jackson leaves TYT, so it's probably not important. Let's go ahead and skip that video. So they acknowledged me. So I mean, like, again, first of all, they made a video about me and then unlisted it because it seemed kind of, obviously they regretted it. So they had to take it down and it doesn't look good on them right now. But also, I gave them so much bait where like I almost forced them to talk to me. And they were even afraid to even mention me because A, I'm me, and B, like, it wasn't drama-y enough for them, even though JR had great opinions.
But you say that that's not drama enough for them. But I think a debate with you would do crazy drama numbers. That's the crazy part of it, right? Like if they were like, we're going head to head, or we're doing it'll probably be more struggle session than debate. But if you're doing something like that, that does crazy drama numbers. But I'll reach out to them. I don't know.
We'll make it happen. We'll see what happens. I've already gotten you to like 12:31. I know you were that down boy, so I'm glad to do it with you, but I'm sorry to do it to you. any last words before I start to hand
Any
this
last
off?
words? But watch movie night extravaganza. We're doing
Yes.
new movies for the well, we're doing Barry Lyndon on Tuesday, so that's not a new movie, but it's 50 years old. But after that, we're doing Superman. We're doing another movie, Life of the fuck is that new movie called? The Life of Chuck. Life of Chuck that is coming out, that just came out. There's a bunch of stuff. So tune in, movie night extravaganza. Subscribe to it. If you don't subscribe to it, I will hunt down your family.
Whoa. Anyways,
if you don't subscribe to it, I will put on a mask and I'll say that I'm ICE and then throw you into a thing and then hand you a phone and you'll have to subscribe and then I'll let you back out again, of course. But
whoa. Anyways,
imagine doing that. Just like you're like, oh, I'm ICE. Get in this van, and then you're like, okay, subscribe to my podcast. All right, and then you let the person out of the van.
Anywho, in the words of MF Doom, so I'm like, anywho's. Yeah. There's a new Spike Lee movie coming out.
Yeah.
Apparently, which apparently means that Bam and I need to do another movie night extravaganza debate on whether or not me and Bam agree or disagree on the idea of Spike Lee being a trash scavenger, if I can say that on YouTube.
Hey, he was just hanging out with Zoran and Brad Lander, so I'm feeling good feelings about Spike Lee right now.
He's a Knicks fan, so I almost feel bad for the guy. Anyway, I don't even have my Clippers hat right now, which is so funny. But yes. I also there was a moment where you said the phrase of this space out of context, but I want to like tie it back all the way here, and I promise this is where I'm gonna end. Again, Forrest, you need to yell at me more if you want me to end the show. Otherwise, I'm gonna run you till 3 a.m. But I mean,
I'm chilling right now. I'm not, I just got home from Long Island yesterday, so I'm just enjoying being back in the house.
I'm definitely enjoying being back home, but like I'm going to go to sleep right now because my brain can't decide whether or not it is midnight or
I think 9. I have the monkey with the symbols in my brain at this point. Or there's the monkey that goes the Homer Simpson brain. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I very much the same with like a little bit of yerba mate on the side. Anyway.
Yeah. Woo!
What have you? Oh! Damn it, boy! Oh my God, yerba gang!
Yeah.
Damn it, boy! Hell yeah!
They're apparently this one's Bravo Mango, and I also had a strawberry hibiscus one. I love fucking yerba. Yerba makes me feel good.
I'll be honest, I don't do the ones that have artificial sugar in them. So like the mango one is out for me.
The traditional unsweetened one is my favorite one, but they're really hard to find lately.
Yeah, I did the sparkling ones kind of randomly. Like these are the ones that are like
good
crunched up and in my. They were. I mean, you get to be the judge of that, considering how I was doing during the show. But I tend to do this one, which is Limonelation. There's like Orange Exuberance, which I think was renamed to Awakening Orange when they like rebranded the cans. If you know, you know. But I also, my unpopular opinion is that I don't like Enlightenment, but I'll do it because it's very available. That's how to submit one. But
I don't know. I like it, but I get tired of it pretty fast.
That's how I feel about all of my favorite flavors, which are Revelberry, what's the blueberry one? Like whatever the blueberry one is.
Bluephoria.
Bluephoria, that's right. Yeah.
I like this new one they're doing. Strawberry hibiscus. It has less sugar. I like that one.
Okay.
I'm liking it. I'm liking it. My favorite one though is the original unsweetened. I like it. I just like it as tea. But
that's fair. Yeah.
It's hard to find lately.
I used to brew my own tea, and I'm definitely gonna get back to that, especially in the summers that we're doing that. But was it Rachel Atwood said Kyle and Crystal gave Shoe on Head June the benefit of the doubt for way too long. Yeah, like that's
a lot of people did.
I'm gonna hold my fire because I already gave way too much fire for
she ended up like dating a full blown like her husband or whatever. She has a kid with like that guy's like a Nazi. Like not even like a kind of a Nazi. Like that guy I think is a Nazi.
No, I hear that. I definitely hear that.
I'm gonna reach out to Silly and Billy and try to see if they'll talk to you. Listen, I mean, they do they love drama streams, but then they're not gonna.
Yeah, they can dish but can't take, and that's the kind of thing I'm like, let's work it out. I honestly think it'll be very productive for both of us. But you know, we report, you decide. Anyways, I am gonna end the stream, but also I'm going to raid Riverboat on YouTube and Twitch. That's the last thing I wanted to say is that this space, shout out to the Letter Hack, shout out to Ben Dixon, shout out to all the folks who were like running that. That was the original tangent from the tangent that I was gonna say. Leftist Media streaming almost 24/7. Please check it out. Please run it. And any last words for us? Otherwise,
nah, I think that's it. I think I said all the words.
Okay, the power is always within not Forrest, not me, but you. There's going to be a lot of things going on this summer. As I've said, we are in July. We're in the heat of it. It's barely been 6 months of the Trump administration. We're going to get a lot more. Hold it down, especially with the bill. It's going to be worse, but you know, take it easy, take it strong, and stay black. Peace. Yeah. I should have done that while I had the thing ready, but now I do.
That should I